Yeah, you're right.
That damn dog.
The dog's dead. How you know? Because I think you told me. Really? About a year or so ago.
No. I didn't know that.
I think so.
Damn.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. And it's not something you ask, you know what I mean?
Right. I could never ask him. And I haven't seen him. We went to lunch once, but I can't remember. Does he take it to lunch with him? I think he does.
Maybe he would have, yeah.
I think he does. What the fuck? Crazy Angie.
He's listening right now. He's like, yeah, the dog's dead. You can hear us on YouTube. He's like, yes, sir, the dog is dead.
Dude, you know, there's sometimes I'm at home and I'm like on the phone or I'm doing something. I'm like, is my mic on? I mean,
Is my mic on?
Swear to God. Swear to God. Swear to God.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Bye, Gina. Have a good evening.
Daniel Palma Herrera was named, according to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. However, according to the California Department of Corrections website, he will not become eligible for parole until August of 2033 after spending 25 years behind bars. On August 10th, 2008, the son of Herrera's girlfriend was taken to Kern Medical with serious injuries, including a skull fracture and bleeding from both eyes. He did not survive. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. What do you think? This is the Army? Are you sure a mile away? You're going to get a post like this without thing. You want it brains all over your nice side face. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. Chris Burdick producing the broadcast on this 28th day of August, and we've got a busy broadcast. Several guests on a Thursday, of course, leading off with Mike Turnipseed, the executive director of the Kern Tax Association. Our money man, Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie, will join us at 4:30. And at 5 o'clock, the Ryder Cup is weeks away, and Captain Keegan Bradley has established the team. So we'll go over it with our golf aficionados, championship tour director, now in Philadelphia, PA, Nick Ragone will join us at 5. Talk a little sports at 5:30. The Dodgers swept the Reds, and 17 looked incredible on the bump last night. Shohei had 9 strikeouts in his first win as a Dodger pitcher. And most importantly, not only did we gain a game on the Padres, but most importantly, we gain a half a game on Mr. Burdick's Philadelphia Phillies for that second seed. Why is that so important? Because the third seed, which will be the Phillies, of course, will have to play in a best-of-3 series, which are ridiculously precarious and scary and easy for the favorite to lose. You screw. I'm just saying. Well, are you not willing to admit that that's the last thing you want is to be the third seed? I mean, you just lose the first game on a fluke, and now you got to win 2 straight just to stay alive. It's just, oof. Yeah. Yep. Crazy. So a big night for the Dodgers. We'll talk about that. We've got some audio from a rare I don't know if I'd call it a fight. We'll call it a squabble between two U.S. Open players, two ladies on the U.S. Open Tour. U.S. Open obviously underway. They're going into the third round. Coco Gauff plays in about an hour. Please, I shouldn't give this out because my haters will do it to me, but I'm DVRing it and would like to spend my evening, since I think the Dodgers have the night off, watching that when I get home. Are the Dodgers traveling today, or are they they're traveling? Okay, good. So don't tell me the result of the Coco Gauff match, which gets underway. Naomi Osaka, her crazy self. She's a little crazy, dude. She really is. Yeah, but she's yeah, you have to be crazy to go for such a dream, first of all. But no, it's beyond that, just a little bit. As I was literally waiting for my Uber, I watched a little interview she did with the other black player that retired. She won, I think, Wimbledon. I can't remember. Anyway, and she just talked about, like, the girl asked her, "Do you have any goals? You know, as a former number one and a major championship winner, do you?" And she said, "Well, before Wimbledon, I did, but I left Wimbledon so down because she got bounced in the first round. I just want to be happy." And I don't know. It's been my experience in life that when anybody says, "I just want to be happy," that's bells and whistles. Alarms should go off. I'm just saying. The reality is, life sucks. I've said that for years. And I don't mean it the way it sounds, but life is difficult. That's what makes life worth living. And then there are what I call blips. They're little blips. Your daughter graduating from high school, your son hitting a home run in the Little League game, your son coming home with straight A's, you know, the love of your husband, the love of your wife. I mean, they're blips, but life is tough, man. I got to be here at 2:30 in the afternoon. Stay here till 6. That was not an example of a tough life. I was being self-deprecating, and I'm a lazy bum, essentially, and I'm completely overpaid and little worked. But hey, we all get to work our own deals, don't we? But I don't know. She just seems. I want to play this audio right now. Did you cut that up? I think this is the funniest thing in the world. So Taylor Townsend is the black girl, and Elena Ostapenko is the white girl. And I don't know why I'm making a racial thing, but I'm making it a racial thing. And in tennis, we saw this with Sabalenka at Wimbledon. Was that against Coco? Yeah, it was against Coco. Where in tennis, when you hit a ball that hits the net and then barely bounces over for a winner, or in this case, makes it a difficult shot, because she got to the ball, Ostapenko, but she ended up losing the point. And after she lost, and the Taylor girl, the black girl, Taylor Townsend, didn't give the proverbial, "Oops, sorry." That's what you're supposed to do. Coco Gauff didn't do it to Aryna Sabalenka, and she had a problem with it. And this girl had a problem with it. And after she lost, as they're going to the chair to shake the hand, as they are wont to do after matches, as they're obligated to do after matches, there was this confrontation where she told the girl, Ostapenko told Townsend, "You have no class and no education." And here's how she responded.
You know, it's competition. People get upset when they lose, and you can't. Some people say bad things. She told me I have no class, I have no education, and to see what happens when we get outside the U.S. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I beat her in Canada outside the U.S. I beat her in New York outside the U.S. So let's see what else she has to say.
I love that answer. I'm sorry.
She said, "I had no education and I beat her out of the country in New York." Yeah, okay.
I know.
But come on. That's hilarious. I beat her I beat her out of the country in Canada. I beat her out of the country in the Bronx. I'll beat her out of the country in Staten Island. I don't give a damn. I just thought that was funny. I get it may be some small island somewhere for all I know. Maybe there is a I just thought that was funny. But good luck to her. And the late news got Mike Arieh, former New York Giant and former Green Bay Packer, dancing through the streets naked. Somehow, the Green Bay Packers have acquired Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones, and I don't blame him. Actually, when I saw what they're paying Micah Parsons, I said, good for you, Jerry. I thought you were an idiot. You're smarter than you look. They got 2 first-round picks, one next year and the year after that, which could be money in a quarterback year if you wanted to get rid of Dak, if he goes, 7-10. And the Packers are going to pay him $47 million for the next 4 years. That's stupid. And it just absolutely throws the whole defensive side of payment completely out of whack now. I mean, who's up? Myles Garrett has signed for a long time, right? Didn't he just sign? TJ just signed, right? Who, TJ?
No, Trey Hendrickson, the kid who just signed with Cincinnati.
Oh, with the $30 million?
Yeah, that's only for a year.
Oh, really?
So he's a free agent next year.
Holy Toledo. So he's going to need.
Because he was claiming when all this happened that he wanted a long-term contract, and now you're just settling for a $30 million 1 year.
And you got Micah Parsons, who, in my opinion, is a pass rusher, can't hold Hendrickson's jock. And now he's making $17 million more than you are.
Yeah, but Micah has better run-stopping ability than Trey.
Yeah, but Micah's not as consistent rushing the passer as Hendrickson is, I don't think. I think he's in the backfield every game. Micah, yes, he gets double teamed, I think, probably in the top 3 players. Exactly. So does Max. So does every great pass rusher on every team in the NFL. I don't know. I couldn't pay a guy $47 million. That is just crazy. All right, let's get going. We're way late. We'll come back. We have, or I should say, the Californian has finally caught up with the Ralph Bailey Show. They are reporting today, as we did exclusively on Monday, that on Tuesday, Kathy Miller and her law firm were filing briefs to the United States Supreme Court. Look, it was no surprise that they were going to do this. When they were rebuffed by the California Supreme Court, they made it clear that they were not going to stop. They were going to take it to the next level, which is SCOTUS. But we were able to report when they were going to make the filing, which was Tuesday, when we spoke to both Kathy Miller and Adele Kime. We had it Monday. The local newspaper had it Thursday. I'm just saying. I am not a radio talk show host. I am deep in my soul a journalist who has an audio magazine from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. We are just getting going. We'll tell you, you'll hear from Adele Kime and Kathy Miller when we come back. Gavin Newsom is going after Donald Trump and insisting that there'll be no election in 2028. I'm not making this up. And you know what Trump did? Or Trump's people did? You heard in the bite? The Newsom bite? You didn't hear what they did? They sent him 24 Trump in 28 hats. Yes. They said that to Newsom. He really is, but he's using it to his advantage. And he's going after Trump, talking about authoritarianism and all this nonsense. We'll hear from Governor Newsom. And we'll talk more about the Minnesota. I am asking the question that it took reporters in Minnesota about 10, 15 minutes into the press conference to finally ask Brian O'Hara, the police chief in Minneapolis, have you spoken to the parents? Have you spoken to the parents of the pure evil child or grown-ass man, 23-year-old biological man that took the lives of 8 and 10-year-olds at the Annunciation Catholic School? We'll do that coming up the bottom of the hour. Mike Turnipseed at 4, Daniel Petrie at 4:30, Nick Ragone at 5. It's a Thursday on the Ralph Bailey Show, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Play it. What?
Lisa, Kelly,
And that's it? Oh, you predicted that. Oh, no.
Please meet Paul Sheldon's client, Marilyn Bull.
Hi, my name is Marilyn Bull. I heard of Paul Sheldon through my husband, so when I retired, I decided I'm going to go to him too. And I'm very pleased. The experience with Paul Sheldon has been great. Every question you asked, he had an answer for. He was patient and explained everything to where you could understand it. So I'm glad I had him go because I would recommend Paul Sheldon to anybody because he was so easy to go there and have him actually show you and explain to you what your options are. And when you leave there, if you still didn't quite understand, you can always call and even make an appointment with you and rediscuss the whole thing. I also have recommended it to my sister. Thank you, Paul Sheldon, for all your help, and I wouldn't know what to do without you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program may only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it can end your debt nightmare and save you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. So don't wait. For this free information, call 800-422-8552. 800-422-8552. That's 800-422-8552. Not available in all states. Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
So you got two?
The Ralph Bailey Show.
It's my favorite part. Put on the red lights. You don't have to put on the red lights. You don't have to put on the red lights. You don't have to put on the red lights. Put on the red lights. Bronx. 842-537-6842-KERN. As we told you on Monday, the firm, please stand by. I don't want to mess it up. Well, I guess when you've got it written down from a couple of days ago, I believe it's the Beckett Firm of Religious Liberty. Yes, that is exactly what it is. That is representing Kathy Miller, owner of Tastries Bakery, to rehash the story for those 3 people that may not be familiar with it. 8 years ago, to the day that we had her on the show, she later texted back. We had her on. We had Kathy and her attorney Adele Keim on Tuesday. We reported it exclusively on Monday. And it was the day that we had her on. Tuesday was the anniversary. It was the first day that the 2 ladies, the lesbian couple that wanted Kathy to make the wedding cake, walked into her life. And 8 years later, here she is still battling this thing, taking it to the Supreme Court. They filed the briefs on Tuesday. And as we discovered in our interview on Tuesday, they were actually filing it during our radio show.
Now they've turned it over to the Beckett team. And my Beckett team is in Washington, D.C., and they have stood beside us. They've prayed with us. They're constantly involved in every little detail and aspect. And so it comes to today, which is the biggie, where they just submitted the brief, probably right now, if I'm correct, right, Adele? Right at 4 o'clock?
Yes, you're right. It's going in right now.
Right now, it's being,
Just an emailing with the printer.
yeah, so right now, as we speak, this brief is being handed over to the justices of the Supreme Court. And so our future lays in their hands.
So why am I rehashing this story other than to put it in the face of local media that once again, the Ralph Bailey Show is beating them to a story? And maybe a little bit of that. But the reason is that it's making national news. And as I predicted when we interviewed them, and I asked Adele before I even speculated on this, I said there have been in history, obviously, a number of landmark cases that have changed our way of life. The recent decision on gay marriage. You can go as far back as Dred Scott, when blacks were not considered human beings. And you go back to the Plessy versus Ferguson, the Board of Education versus the United States that desegregated schools. There's just a number of cases that changed life. And I said, and I asked Adele, in the first case in Colorado with the cake maker, the Supreme Court didn't really deal with the question of whether or not you can deny a gay couple a cake. They sided with the cake maker because of the manner in which Colorado officials treated them. That's what but they completely sidestepped the issue of, is it artwork? Is this a First Amendment right of your creativity to make something and create something from your mind and your abilities for anybody that you want, and you should be able to select whom you sell that art to? Or is it a religious decision that the court should stand by, that you should be able to practice your religion, and part of that religion is not participating in a homosexual wedding? They completely side-skirted this, but they will have to deal with it. If in fact they take the case, they'll have to answer that question. And that will change life in America one way or the other. I'm on record as saying, I don't think you should, I think that everybody should be able to get any kind of cake that they want. I don't understand, and I've talked about this with Kathy, and she respects our difference, and we're still friends, and I'm still rooting for her. But I just think that you should check your religious beliefs and all your other beliefs at the door when it comes to business, and that everybody should be treated the same. And I don't understand the religious backlash from participating in a gay wedding. And I thought somewhere I read that Christianity at the end of the day was all about love. And if that love happens to be between 2 people of the same sex, what difference does that make in terms of your life? You know, maybe they're sinning And maybe they may have to pay for their sins, but how does that root on you? Here's more from Adele Kime.
They said Kathy's belief in her policy of saying, hey, I want to step aside when it comes to what I can't do. They said that harms the dignity of all Californians. Does that sound right to you?
No,
No, it doesn't sound right to me.
not at all.
But California said, look, we're being polite to Kathy, but we will shut her down. So now Kathy's going to the Supreme Court, and that fight in Jack Phillips and Masterpiece Cake Shop, they started that as the first round, right, 8 years ago. And now what Kathy hopes, is that this case will be the case to finish it.
Having said all that I just said, I think she's going to win. I think the court will side with her 5-4. I think the only conservative that will not side with her is the Chief Justice, John Roberts. But I think you've got to, well, first of all, you've got to get 4 to just hear the case. And I think they've got that. Amy, I almost said Klobuchar again. Amy Coney Barrett, the devout Catholic is going to say, yes, let's hear this. Alito, Clarence Thomas, and either Gorsuch or Kavanaugh, if not both. And that's your 5-4 decision when they finally do ultimately make a decision. Again, I think the only conservative that would side with Kagan and Sotomayor is John Roberts. And hence a 5-4 decision in favor of Miller versus the state of California. Bottom of the hour, we will get into Gavin Newsom's insistence that Donald Trump is not leaving in 2029, in January, when we have an inaugural. You will hear from this nitwit, Newsom, when we come back.
Jim O'Neill, a top deputy to Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., will serve as acting director for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as according to an administration. White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt says CDC Director Susan Monterez was fired by President Trump late Wednesday.
Hey,
Says Monterez wasn't aligned with the
Chris.
president and refused to
Chris, they say they can't hear you again. Just turn it up.
Fire her. Trump said the reason for her removal were allegations that she committed mortgage fraud in 2021 before she was appointed to the
Who
board.
turns it down?
On Wall Street, the Dow buys 71 points, the Nasdaq rose 115. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. A man has been arrested on charges
watch.
related to human trafficking. A little after 7:15 Tuesday night, BPD detectives did a welfare check in the 5700 block of Mountain Vista Road. 23-year-old Calvin McCoy
Yes,
was
indeed,
arrested
I'm
and charged
coming.
with alleged
That's you
pimping,
and
pandering,
me. I'm
and human
hoping
trafficking.
that you
Detectives
come
say
back to
McCoy
me.
commercially sexually exploited the victim for 3 days. Bakersfield police report that a 1-month-old baby involved in a car crash has died. At about 7:30 Sunday night, officers were called to the scene of the crash on 8th Street and T Street. A pickup and sedan were involved. The baby was in the silver sedan and taken to the hospital. The baby was later pronounced dead at Valley Children's Hospital in Madeira on Monday. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Hey everybody, it's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Network. It's funny or coincidental that I'm talking to you about Adaptive Network because they literally just left our studios. That's right. We've teamed up with Adaptive Network because they are the best in town when it comes to IT. And, the biggest mistake companies make with their IT is not having a plan. Like I've talked about, as a radio station, when our IT goes down, you hear nothing. So we can't just wait and say, we'll call our IT guy the very next day. We have to have a plan. Disaster recovery, security policies, and compliance that all often get ignored. And they also talk about antivirus. Today's cyber threats need layered security, firewalls, endpoint protection, and monitoring. And that's why we've teamed up with Adaptive Network and why you should as well. Call them today at 241-0638. That's 241-0638. Adaptive Network, your IT partner in Bakersfield, making it simple, stable, and secure.
The JR Show.
So the city council moved forward the idea of renaming South H Street to Avocado de Cesar Chavez. I don't know, whatever. Look, it's not the name that bothers me. It could have been Cesar Chavez. It could have been Martin Luther King Jr. It could have been Buck Owens. It does not matter. At a time like this, when we don't have the money, how are we going to spend, from what I'm told, over $1 million to do a street name change? It's just not the right time to do it.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Eight 842 KERN. I got to see Mr. Charles live here in Bakersfield. Great concert. Great concert. He was incredible. Really was. And a great movie. Great movie that took the Bailey advice. Even though Jamie Foxx does a remarkable Ray Charles. And in fact, there is one scene in the film where it's Jamie. The scene where Regina King comes in, he's by himself and he's just playing. They're in a hotel, and Regina King comes in to tell him that she's pregnant, and they kind of get into a fight. And then it might even be that song that he's working on, and she starts singing it with him after they're fighting. And that's actually Jamie Foxx. But throughout the rest of the film, they use Ray. And that is the Bailey theory on biographies. If you've got the genius, use the genius. Now, I haven't seen, did you see the Bob Dylan movie?
I did not. I need to watch that still.
That was, what's his name? That was not Dylan.
Chalamet.
Yeah, that was Chalamet. And Walk the Line, even though he did a great job. Well, Joaquin Andahar, Joaquin Phillips. Ain't that many Joaquins left.
To say Joaquin Wild, but that's a different thing.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix did a great job. He really did. But he had Johnny Cash. Now, the person that did an unbelievable job, and she won an Academy Award, was Reese Witherspoon, who actually sounded just like June Carter. And it was actually cute and funny in the film. I think that's her best performance ever. And I do have a confession. I did like Legally Blonde.
Really?
Yeah, I did. That was kind of cute. You know. Anyway, off to Minneapolis. You know how I like to procrastinate when I know I have to talk about things that I really don't want to talk about. But as I did discuss earlier, we know more about the shooter. I'm going to follow the footsteps of the police chief and refuse to name the person, the biological male. There are a couple of questions now that we know all the facts primarily. We'll know more when they start to release more information from his manifesto. I read some of it to you yesterday. When they start to go through his phone and through his Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, we'll certainly learn more. But we know enough. We know that he was a dazed and confused kid. And I think the transgender question is important at this point. I really do. Now, I don't think it is because there's some trend, simply because the Tennessee shooting, the Covenant School is also a religious school, also was a former student, and also was a transgender person. I think the reason that it's important because the parents signed off on this, him changing his name to a more feminine name in 2017, which even a guy that got 480 on the math SAT can figure out was about 8 years ago. So at 23, that makes him 15 years old when his parents absolutely enabled his transgender transition and went out of their way to the courts to normalize this and name him Robin from Rob. So my question is, whatever your thoughts are on transgenderism, if you've got a 15-year-old in your home, and if they signed off on it at 15, that means you got to assume that they knew about it for at least a year. Let's just say a year. So you've got a 14-year-old that you're raising who thinks he is a biological female. You don't have bells and whistles go off. You don't have alarms go off that my child is suffering from something, some sort of identity crisis. But no, I forgot, it's the 21st century where we've normalized the idea of denying basic science, basic biology. It's mind-blowing to me that I have to say that to educated people listening to me. That we actually, as adults, will enable a child at an age where they can't make up whether they should go to summer camp or not. And we're allowing them to make lifelong decisions like transitioning biologically or really mentally, not really truly biologically, or I suppose if they're starting to take hormones, that kind of deal, and talking about sex changes and stuff like that. But my point is, at the end of the day, somebody knew something. Did you hear the evil that this kid spewed? He hated everybody. There was no favoritism among anybody. And the only people that he admired, as they've analyzed this manifesto, which I think is a mistake, I think they need to stop doing that. I think that's become part of the process, part of the glamour to these people as they go out. I think they should leave it to the FBI. You need that to analyze this so that we can create a subset of things to look for, characteristics within these people, a commonality that can help us at least detect it in the future, because that's the only way we're going to stop this thing. Democrats think it's some ridiculous idea, and I hope you didn't think that I had this idea because I don't like AK-47s or I don't like AR-15s, which was not the gun of choice, I don't believe. But the idea that we're going to somehow take away guns or minimize guns when there are 400 million in this world is crazy. The only way we're going to limit this or start to lessen this is to attack mental illness in this country and convince people that are surrounded or around folks that are suffering to report it, to say something. And check this out. The Minneapolis Police Department, at least as of 1:30 this afternoon before I left the house, have not spoken to the shooter's parents. Now, somebody explain that to me. How is that possible? I mean, I suppose you could just lock your door and not answer it if the FBI comes knocking. I suppose if he didn't live there, that a judge may not write off a warrant. But I would think in this situation, a judge would. We'll certainly talk, or maybe I'll text our judge, Teresa Golden, and ask her. But I just think it's unthinkable that they have not talked to the mother or the father. And again, at some point, we have to hold them, I don't know if the word is responsible, but they owe us something. They owe this society something. They owe us a breakdown of their child. How long has he maintained this hatred? Did you know about it? Why didn't you know about it? This isn't something, this hatred for Jews, blacks, Latinos, Trump, this isn't something that popped up last week. This guy was incredibly organized, incredibly premeditated, incredibly well thought out. He had pictures of the church. He was a student at the Annunciation Catholic School. He had a piece of paper documenting inside the church. And, I felt guilty yesterday when I said this, and now I'm hearing everybody saying it today, but we were lucky. As crazy as that sounds, with 2 dead, several still in the hospital fighting for their lives, we were lucky, and we were lucky that the Annunciation School takes precautions, because we found out today that the reason he shot from the parking lot was because they had locked the doors on the church once the prayer began. And that's why he shot outside from the parking lot. That's why he set up the 2x4s to lock them in. He wanted to kill everyone in the church, the 80-year-olds and the children from range from 8 to 14. Instead, he got locked out, thank you, Jesus, literally, and sat out in the parking lot and fired blindly through the windows. At some point, the mother has to speak nationally and tell us what she knew of her son. Tell us what to look for in these young men that have quit on life and are so full of hate and anger that they want to go after society's most low-hanging fruit, children in the midst of prayer. And as a former student there, he knew damn well when the praying would begin, when they would be in that church. He had the layout. And again, to just kind of wrap it up, Howard Marcus stumbled staggeringly, haphazardly into the truth. We have to begin to defend the perimeters of our schools, our campuses. How does a man, it's reported that he looked like a gorilla, a guy in guerrilla warfare. He was in all black, a ski mask. How does he simply walk onto this campus? We have got to pay attention to this thing. And Democrats are saying, well, thoughts and prayers aren't enough. We need action. That is insulting. That is insulting to those of us who believe that thoughts and prayers matter, that they count, that they work. And it just goes to show you again, the Democratic Party just completely out of step with this country, completely out of step with the norm. It is just a party that I can't get my hands around, couldn't be a part of, and just don't understand. Truly. There are 4 times out of a school year where students get all excited. It's the beginning of the year, Easter vacation, Christmas vacation, and the end of the school year. And I think the highlight, even though kids don't realize it, it's the beginning of the school year where you get to come back and see your friends, that many of whom you have not seen over the summer. I hated school, but loved certain teachers. It was fun to get back into their classrooms. I loved the classes that I loved. I loved my history class. I loved my English class. I loved my English professor. I loved my Latin class, my Latin professor. I hated French. I hated biology. But in general, you love school. And the last thing I'll say is I'll never forget, I was doing television and I covered a murder outside of Emerson Junior High School, right down the street from where Vincent Brothers destroyed his family. And it was right outside the school, maybe 50 yards from the fence line of Emerson Junior High School. And I interviewed the principal and I said, do you believe that at any time the children were in danger? You know, these guys are shooting guns on your street, literally where the school rests. And she said, this is 1990s. And she said, Ralph, I hope you don't play that angle in your story, because all over the country, the safest place children can be is on a school campus. I will never forget that. And in the 1990s, that was true. Now, not so much. Isn't that incredible? In 30 years, I don't think there's a principal in this country that can say that. Because no one believes it's going to happen in their place. No one. And then it does. Whether it's Uvalde, Sandy Hook, Columbine. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll see what you guys are talking about on the board. Michael Turnipseed will be driving up here in just a second and joining us in the 4 o'clock hour. Our money man, Daniel Peach, what?
He's actually in Sacramento. That's who just called right now. He'll be calling in today. He has a good topic, though.
Why is he doing this to me?
I think at this point, just because it gets a reaction.
I know. He knows it drives me crazy. That's fine. And then I would make allusion to him driving in. I never say that. Yeah, he's driving in. All right.
I was like, wait.
He's driving in the damn parking lot of his hotel up in Sacramento, or his daughter's house, one of the two. We'll talk with Ms. Turnipseed via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network. Bottom of the hour, Daniel Petrie, who has to be in his office so he can have a computer to tell us what's really going on. And another telephone guest will go to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia in specific, to talk to Nick Ragone. The Ryder Cup has been established. Keegan Bradley, the nephew of Pat Bradley, for you old golfers. He's the captain. He's made out his team. And no, as many speculated, he has not broken tradition and made himself a member of the team, which he could have made a truly good argument for. He's played well this year. But we'll go through the team with our good friend and championship tour director, Nick Ragone. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and
You know, there's
AM 1180
nobody over there.
KERN.
Nobody over there but Lisa and Kelly. Nobody.
They were at they're at a business conference thing, or not conference, but like a job fair thing.
Oh, yeah?
Casey, yes, no?
Right now?
Yeah.
Weekend looking pretty
Did I do
low.
it yesterday?
Trump's getting it done. We'll talk
You
about
have
that and more
yesterday's?
coming up on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Time to talk about my favorite steakhouse, KC Steakhouse on F Street. Grab the wife, grab the husband, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the side chick, whomever, your in-laws, folks coming out of town especially. That's a huge thing. Or if you've got an anniversary or a birthday coming up, what a great way to spend the night than in the capable hands of Cassie Biddle's incredible staff. And make sure to either before your dinner or after your dinner, or go have dinner at the Stockyard right next door. That's part of KC Steakhouse. Been an absolute game changer for Cassie Biddle. They've got live music in there on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. And of course, Bobby and Jimmy provide live music in the main restaurant Tuesday through Saturday. Where would you rather be having one of the best steaks you'll ever have in your life at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Mark your calendars Saturday, October 11th for the 6th annual Bakersfield Brunch Fest at the Kern County Fairgrounds. Your all-inclusive ticket gets you access to an assortment of brunch bites, paired with bubbles and mimosas, beer, wine, cocktails, and spiked seltzers too. Bakersfield Brunch Fest is brought to you by Mango Cart. There are a limited number of early bird tickets at a major discount on sale now. Go to bakersfieldbrunchfest.com. Secure your spot for a brunch experience you'll never forget. Bakersfield, you can brunch with us.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
But he could play a guitar just like ringing a bell. Go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, 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 Johnny, go, go, go. Johnny be good. He used to carry his guitar in a gunny sack down the railroad tracks. Strange man, Chuck Berry. Strange man. Got caught placing cameras. Where do you think he was placing cameras in his home, Chris Burdick?
First thought would be bathroom.
Yes. He's putting cameras in his bathroom.
I've never understood that.
Why in the world you would want to see some woman use the bathroom? I mean, if you were like had a roommate and you had a camera in the shower, okay, freaky deaky. I could understand that. But to see a woman sit down, I had a girlfriend that didn't have a problem leaving the door open. I won't name her. No, I really won't. And I didn't want to, I didn't know that they went frontward when they go to the bathroom. Numero uno, of course. Found that out. Didn't know that. I thought they, but no, they go, they don't even get up off the spot. They just kind of from the front. I should not know that. Chris, did you know that?
Technically, I did, but
you saw it?
I've not seen it. But
then how did you know? You just logic that out?
Anatomy, yeah, anatomy classes. Kind of figure it out.
What do you mean anatomy classes?
I mean, you talk about this stuff in school, how all this stuff happens.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid then. I always assumed that they.
Well, I mean, no. The courses
from behind.
When I was going to school, obviously, were a little different when you were in high school. But
I don't remember having a sex education class. I really don't.
Ours was in junior high, OLPH, 7th, 8th grade.
I changed schools. I left public schools halfway through my 6th grade and started going to private school halfway through my 6th grade. And I don't remember anything at Buckley 7th and 8th grade. We didn't even have home ec at Buckley.
Like for us, it wasn't exactly like a crash. Well, I'm sorry, it was a crash course. It wasn't exactly in depth. It was like 2-3 days in science, maybe.
I think I remember seeing a film when I was living in Cerritos.
Yeah, you'll probably get that more often than not. Just
with like an anatomy. And I remember my buddy Gary Rainwater said that the diagram of the penis, it was like a film, and they had like the diagram of the penis, and Rainwater hit me in the ribs with his elbow, and he said, "Ralph, Doesn't it kind of look like the state of Florida? And I go, it does. It does. Right there, right on the bottom. That's Miami. I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
Yes. And man, it's hairy up in the Tallahassee area. You know, up there by Jacksonville, it's all hairy. All right, that's enough. I'm sorry. What do you got on the board?
Ralph, according to your cake thinking, you should buy Chris a new car. Show love.
What's that? What's that? What's that?
I said, according to your cake thinking, you should buy me a new car. Show love.
Could you explain that to me?
I have no idea.
Well, first of all, what is my cake theory?
You said your cake thinking.
My cake thinking. What is my cake
I'm assuming
thinking?
that has to be your take on this whole Kathy Miller thing. I'm assuming.
That you should make a cake for homosexuals?
Yeah, and that you should leave your religious beliefs at the door and all that type of hoopla.
Okay. What's that going to do with
I
buying
have
you a car?
no idea. That's where, some of these text messages the last couple of days and the parallels they've been making have been pretty wild.
Yeah. I want to walk during this break.
It's actually nicer outside today than it was yesterday.
But by the time I make the lap, my foot is hurting again.
You got to push it at some point, though.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm going to take a lap. And when I return, Michael Turnipseed will join us via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network, live from Sacramento. We'll talk with Daniel Petrie via the Rogers Global Telephone Network, live from 21st and Oak. And at 5 o'clock, we'll talk to Nick Ragone via the Rogers Global Telephone Network, live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
Oh, that was funny.
News at Power from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is proposing a pre-midterm Republican convention next year. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The president posted online that he's thinking of recommending a national convention to the Republican Party just prior to next November's midterm elections. Conventions are typically held during presidential election years so that parties can formally nominate candidates following state primaries. Donald Trump's proposal comes a day after Axios reported that senior Democrats were considering holding their own national convention before the 2026 midterms. Greg Clugston, Washington.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook has sued the Trump administration in an effort to overturn the president's attempt to fire her.
I believe she just filed a lawsuit today, and Mr. Pulte has deferred those allegations over to the Department of Justice to investigate them. What I will say is that you had these mortgage receipts very clearly shown to the president, and he has the cause that he needs to fire this individual. He laid it out in the letter that he provided to her and to the public as well.
The shooter who killed 2 Catholic school students and wounded more than a dozen youngsters sitting in the pews of a Minneapolis church once attended the same school and was obsessed with the idea of killing children. The shooter, identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, fired 116 rifle shots through the stained glass windows while the children celebrated Mass during the first week of class at the Annunciation Catholic School. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 71 points, the Nasdaq rose 115, the S&P advanced 20. More at townhall.com.
When I think about God's faithfulness, one story stands above all others: his eternal commitment to Israel. For nearly 4,000 years, God has kept every promise he made to Abraham. Through slavery in Egypt, exile in Babylon, persecution across the globe, and even the Holocaust, God's covenant never wavered, not once. Today, we're witnessing the miraculous fulfillment of ancient prophecy. The Jewish people have returned home. A dead language lives again. The desert blooms just as the Bible promised. This is God's faithfulness in action. As Christians, when we support Israel, we're acknowledging that God's character never changes and his promises endure. His love remains constant, and by his faithfulness, we are unified with him and his faithfulness. I partner with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews because they understand this sacred calling. For over 40 years, they've served Israel's most vulnerable with unwavering dedication. Let's be unified together in recognizing God's faithfulness by supporting his chosen people. To learn more, visit ifcj.org. That is ifcj.org.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News 1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. The trial started on Wednesday for a convicted rapist prosecutors say attacked a woman just months after being paroled from prison. 62-year-old Sergio Venegas had already served 30 years in prison for raping a woman at the Red Roof Inn in 1989. He was also a suspect, though never convicted, in 5 other rapes in the late 80s where women were alone in supermarket parking lots. After being released in 2021, he allegedly attacked a woman walking home from work. There is talk of a plea bargain in the case against Zach Scrivener. His attorneys met with the prosecutor for the Attorney General's office in the judge's chambers on Tuesday.
Twice.
The case has continued until October 16th.
They're running the
to give
Scrivener
Scrivener's
story 2
attorney,
days in a
AJ
row.
Sala, time to file a motion. Scrivener is charged with 2 counts of possessing.
I said it once, said it a million times. I don't like this dude. I don't.
Gotta get Lamucci.
I miss Lamucci so much.
To have a room named after the Valley Strong Credit Union in the new Health and Wellness
Turnip seeds on the line, by the way.
Junior Park. The Bakersfield City
Those are
Council
good
says
bites
that the
from,
park is in of rent.
I also pulled the one about her talk about how they treated the Colorado guy. Didn't know if you wanted to reuse that,
Yeah.
but just in case.
Yeah, maybe in the file.
To an arrest in the shooting death of a man found shot and killed, and they're offering a reward of up to $5,000 to get it. The County Sheriff's Office says that on August 27th, 2019, Kern County fire personnel were on a medical call in the 2300 block of Camellia Street.
Oh yeah, did you hear the news about Jim Irsay today?
That he was a drug addict?
Yeah, and how they apparently he had 3 or 4 overdoses since 2020. He had a relapse. He was on, I guess, towards the end of his life.
Really?
Yeah.
KERN.
Wow, that's the good drug of choice.
What do you think? This is the army where you shoot them a mile away? You gotta get up close like this. Bada bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Thursday, 28th day of August. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com. Daniel Petrie will join us at the bottom of the hour. Then we're off to Philadelphia, PA. Talk with our good friend Nick Ragone. Keegan Bradley has put together our 12-man Ryder Cup team. They'll tee off at Bethpage Black in the state of New York in a couple of weeks. We'll talk with Nick Ragone at 5. And we'll sneak in some audio from Gavin Newsom, who says Donald Trump has no intention of leaving Washington or the White House in 2029 when the new president gets inaugurated. We'll play the idiocy of our knucklehead president. I just had an interesting thing happen to me.
What's that now?
We work in the Easton Business Complex. A lot of people aren't even aware that it exists. It's right behind the Motel 6 off Easton Boulevard, which is right up the street from Marie Callender's. We're just west of the 99 off of California, which is being ripped apart. And there are about 150 businesses in here. We're one of them. We own 3 different suites, corporate, our studios, and our sales department. And before I got gout 2 months ago, during the top and the bottom of the hour breaks, I would take a lap just to get my steps in. I try to get in some 5,000 to 7,000. Try to get 10,000, but I end up getting 5 to 7 because on weekends, even if I use a cart by myself, I can get in 7,000 or 8,000. And if I let Mike or Zucchini or whoever I'm playing with, Mark Swain, let them drive, I get in more steps because sometimes I'll just grab my wedge and my putter, or if I'm lucky enough to hit a green, just grab my putter and walk to the green. I get 10, 11,000 steps in. And so I'm doing a lap for the first time today. I did 2 laps for the first time in 2 months. And one of the ladies in the business came out the door and she said, "Hey, Ralph, hey, you're back." And I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "You've been gone for months. I haven't seen you walking the complex." And I said, "No, I've been working. I'm having some foot issues and I haven't been walking." He said, "Oh, I thought you were gone for that long." I said, "No, I just haven't been walking." I have no idea why I just shared that story. I just thought it was kind of weird. And that I'm being stalked is what I'm talking about. She's clocking me, apparently. No, I'm kidding. We are off to Sacramento via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network to talk to our Thursday regular and executive director of the Kern Tax Association, Michael Turnipseed. What's really going on?
Well, Ralph, I spent the last 4.5 hours driving to Sacramento to come see my grandkids for the weekend. And I was listening to a radio station in Sacramento about the news. And every half hour, I got blasted with the news that Governor Newsom is deploying CHPs now. And he's had this program since 2024 in April, where he first deployed CHPs to Oakland, San Bernardino, and Bakersfield. Did you know we had CHP deployment in this town?
I did not. In what capacity?
Don't ever tell me that I don't tell you anything.
Well,
So I got to Sacramento, I get on the internet and all these things here, and they gave some statistics like crimes down in Oakland since the deployment, 34%, and all these things. And it says for Bakersfield since 2024, that has seen significant results in the deployment. 859 felony arrests, 721 misdemeanor arrests, 2,654 DUIs, 1,386 stolen vehicles recovered, 114 firearms seized, a 57% drop in homicides, and 60% fewer shootings in 2024 compared to previous years. And
I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that's accurate.
Today, he is deploying just to trump out, to stop the National Guard. So he's deploying CHPs to Sacramento, LA, San Francisco, and San Diego, expanding the game here. Well, I have no reason for the state CHPs not to brag about what their program's doing.
Yeah, but I don't buy those numbers. We just experienced an incredible, ridiculous, over the month of August, an incredible rash of not only DUI cases, but fatal and tragic DUI cases. We had a DUI case on top of a DUI case.
Ralph, I understand that, but that's one of thousands. Those are 2 of thousands. How many DUIs are actually normal written? I don't know. But I watch the city council meetings. If I don't attend them, I watch them. And I read the agendas. There has been nothing in any of the city council meetings, regular council meetings. Maybe they bury this in some little committee meeting they have at noon some days, on a nothing agenda. But I have never seen the fact that the CHP has been actively deployed in Bakersfield to help reduce crime.
Neither have I, and I haven't seen their presence. Have you noticed a difference in their presence? And what jurisdiction?
I'm sure they're not advertising it, but if you could put what, 15, 20 cars out all over Bakersfield, and you wouldn't really notice them.
And what kind of arrests are they making? Car thieves? Read it again. Read it again.
Here's what it says. where the CHP has been deployed in the Central Valley, which is Bakersfield. Bakersfield, already part.
Are they, wait.
of
Now,
the
when they,
earlier
wait,
deployment.
stop. If they're saying the Central Valley, are they saying strictly Bakersfield, or is that Fresno? Is that
What
Clovis?
goes down? These are Bakersfield numbers.
All right. Let's
They
hear
have
it.
it for other Central Valley places too, but this is Bakersfield. I can't read you all the other ones. It says, already part of an earlier deployment since April of 2024, Bakersfield has seen significant results from the deployment. 859 felony arrests, 721 misdemeanors, 2,654 DUIs, 1,386 stolen vehicles recovered, 114 firearms seized, a 57% drop in homicides, and a 60% in shooting. And this comes from Microsoft AI. It's something they call Copilot. And I have not been out to verify this. I have not reached. I just spent the last 20 minutes before going on the phone doing the homework to put you on the map. I mean, I don't think anybody in Bakersfield knows this is going on.
What's the percentage of murders going down?
It says homicides saw a drop of 57%.
Oh, come on, Michael. You believe that?
Yeah, because homicides are down across the country.
But
Really, since the end of COVID,
you believe we've cut our murder rate by more than half? So what that would mean? That would mean that we would have roughly 45 murders a year, right? Because we average. I'm asking you questions now. Is that not accurate? That we average roughly about 100 homicides a year?
So
roughly,
we're drawn to 43.
That's crazy, and you know it.
Now, Ralph,
I bet it's
Kern County.
I bet we're at 43 right now, if not more.
Ralph,
look up the homicide rate, Chris. Yes. Hello?
Yeah, let me explain. Remember, the city of Bakersfield, the quote, metropolitan Bakersfield is only about 75% city, and it's like 25% county.
Right.
These are not county numbers. These are only city numbers. So when people throw Bakersfield out there, sometimes it's a metro number. You have to be careful when it says city. This article specifically says the deployment to the city of Bakersfield.
Okay. And
so
you
not
think
with the sheriff.
Okay.
They're working with the police department.
Okay. And I'm asking you, as a resident of this city, you think that we've cut our homicide rates strictly in Bakersfield by more than half?
Across the country, when I read articles about crime is down after COVID, and many levels are getting back to pre-COVID levels now. That is kind of a countrywide thing, that the crime just exploded during COVID, and just from what I read, I consider reputable places. These are some stats and numbers they put out by the federal government. That these are federal government stats too that come out and talk about crime and state numbers and all things. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I did not know that we were dependent on the CHP to come in after spending all our money on Measure N, making it sound like Measure N was the difference. Maybe it's having the CHP in town.
And for Gavin Newsom, this has nothing to do with fighting crime. You know what this has to do with, don't you?
Well, wait. All right, so let's go back. Ours came in 2024. Trump was not even president yet. So this is pre-president.
What do you have for numbers, Chris?
So far in 2025, KGET is claiming we have 51 confirmed homicides in Kern County.
51.
In the county.
In the county.
As of April 25th.
And you don't think a lion's share of those already are in the city?
You should check City of Bakersfield homicides.
Because we're only in August. I don't buy any of that nonsense. So what is the thesis of all this cherished information you've shared with us?
Well, one thing, you didn't know, I didn't know that the outside world thought our crime was so bad a year and a half ago. After we spent all this money on measuring on the police department and everything that happened, I hope the city gets up and justifies this and says, "Oh, this is a bunch of garbage." But the idea is, when it's being reported in Sacramento radio, I can't wait to read the Sac Bee tomorrow and see what the whole story is. But I want to see if the Bakersfield Californian even covers this story.
Yeah.
They're on Saturday. They don't work Sunday or Monday, so we'll see if they actually listen on your radio and get a hold of police and say, "Hey, we want to see the numbers. How much is you and how much is them?"
Right.
Because, I don't think CHP messes around. They don't need to mess around. They don't need to inflate numbers. They come in, they're doing their job.
Where do they jail their arrests? With the city or the county?
Under this agreement, I think it comes. If they arrest somebody, they bring them to the booking wherever you book somebody. The police, they don't go right to jail. They go to a booking and holding facility, and I think that's where. And then CHP, I think, is done.
Which is Lerdo.
Well, I don't know where, I don't know how, but once they deliver it and here's the guy, take over, they go back to the field and arrest more people. They don't stick around and transport to prison or do any of that kind of stuff, I don't think.
Who are they turning them over to? To the sheriff or the city? And to the city? So you think we should talk to Greg Terry?
It says specifically to
the city
of Bakersfield.
So we should talk to Greg Terry about this.
I think probably so. I mean, I just got into Sacramento about 3:45, and I got time to look this story up and do this because I know I was coming on at 4:00.
Interesting.
But
that is
these
interesting.
Numbers, and so the fact that they're going to Sacramento, okay, I would think Governor Newsom, it says based on the performance of these deployments since April, they're expanding it to LA, Oakland, Sacramento, and San Diego.
Wow. Can he be
trying to jump ahead? He's trying to jump ahead of the National Guard.
I was going to say, can't he be accused of doing exactly what Trump is doing to some degree?
But he's been doing it since April of 2024.
Why hasn't he talked about it?
Well, he had to announce it. He had to announce the deployment sometime. I don't know, just if it just didn't make Bakersfield media.
Yeah, how has this
I don't remember seeing it.
How is this? That's
can
my
I miss
point.
it?
That's my point. How has this been such a secret?
I don't know. Now, I heard a deployment. One deployment I think they did for retail theft. It was a very specific thing that they went around the state because people were bashing in the windows and stealing stuff. This seems to be an entirely different deployment. It is going after much bigger and different things. They're talking about felony arrests. They're talking about
card
all
theft,
these specific card theft, car recoveries, what they've been able to find. And I think
and homicides.
I'm going to hang at the next council. I think
I've never
council meeting.
I've never heard the CHP investigating homicides. Have you?
Well, no, it says here felony arrests, but it just says in the article there was a drop of 57. I mean, if you pick up a person and he's a candidate for homicide, you don't know that when you stop him. I don't know. They work with the police department. Maybe get the chief on and let him explain about what these numbers are and
what is the correlation? What is the correlation between their presence and the so-called drop in the homicide rate?
That's a real question because we've invested hundreds of millions of dollars of measuring money into the police department.
Yeah. That is interesting,
and
Michael.
How much of that is CHP and how much of that these reductions are them?
And are these reductions accurate? Because I find it hard to believe, but it certainly would be a pleasant surprise.
Well, that's why you need to get him on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't have the relationship. I've had a nice run, man. I've had about 3 or 4 chiefs that I had a personal relationship going all the way back with Bill Rector. But I don't know Greg Terry that well. I think we've only had him on once. But that is one of the biggest stories you've ever broken on this radio program, Michael. Nicely done.
Well, that's what happens. You're driving on the I-5 for 4 hours.
And you're getting good news from decent news organizations.
The news station in Sacramento, KCR. You brought it up.
You never, ever talk call letters on this radio program, Michael. Never, ever. Well, nice work. Nice work, sir. Say hi to Harriet for us. You coming back Tuesday? Staying until Monday?
Probably Monday.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good weekend. Appreciate the news. I'm going to look into this. I really am.
So we'll see. I was really saw these numbers, and you don't know what or what. So so you always bug me. I don't break any stories for you. So I did a story today.
Yes, you did. Yes,
you have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Bye. Michael Turnipseed earned his dough this week. Hang him up. Heard him talking to Harriet, his granddaughter. Sounded like Harriet. We've got to step aside, and we won't have a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour and bring in Daniel Petrie. That was interesting. The homicide rate in Bakersfield has dropped 57%. Isn't that fascinating? Or disingenuous? One of the two. I'm not sure. Quick break. It's TRBS on a Thursday. Right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Do you feel like you need to know what's going on in the world, but you don't want to be bored to tears?
Well, tune in the Armstrong and Getty Show. We'll keep you informed. We'll try to make you think. We will leave behind the ever-present left-wing media spin. And you know what? We're not angry all the time. Sometimes we have fun.
I'm angry a lot, but not all the time. That's the Armstrong and Getty Show every single weekday.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program may only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it could end your debt nightmare and save you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. So don't wait. For this free information, call 800-422-8552. 800-422-8552. That's 800-422-8552. Not available in all states. Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Hi, everyone. Gina Bellich here with the Legal Help Center. And we have a special guest with us today, Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis. So, Vernon, tell all of our radio listeners who should call right now.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me join you here in the studio. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much money you could potentially get.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much money you could potentially get. Call 800-948-5880. That's 800-948-5880.
They said they texted it to you.
800-948-5880. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and
Tended, I have a wedding to go to on Saturday. Our good friend Robbie Pratt is getting married. As hard as that is to believe and conceive and perceive. And he had his bachelor party last night. And I swear to God, Chris talked to me like Harriet Bailey. I swear I turned around and I saw my mother. Because I said, I kind of really don't want to go to this. I have a weekday routine. I go home, I have my dinner. Sometimes I'll have my one margarita, a couple of bong hits, Dodger game, Abby Phillip, pardon the interruption, and the lights are off by 10:30. I really don't want to go to this thing. And Chris transformed into Harriet Bailey and was like, oh, just go. You'll have a good time. And I did. Saw Michael Bowers, Michael Arié, who again is dancing through the streets with the Green Bay News. He is in the wedding. He's one of the groomsmen. A good time was had. And I'll tell you what I can about the wedding on Monday. Daniel Petrie joins us next.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I should walk.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Education Department says Denver Public Schools violated Title IX protections against sex-based discrimination in education by creating all-gender bathrooms and allowing students to use the bathrooms corresponding with their so-called gender identity. The finding announced Thursday follows an unprecedented probe of Denver's East High School. Investigators in Minneapolis say the shooter who killed 2 Catholic school students and wounded 18 other people inside a church was obsessed with the idea of killing defenseless children. Police said Thursday that the shooter idolized mass killers and wanted to terrorize innocent children. The shooter, identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, fired 116 rifle rounds through stained glass windows Wednesday morning. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. The trial started on Wednesday for a convicted rapist prosecutors say attacked a woman just months after being paroled from prison. 62-year-old Sergio Venegas had already served 30 years in prison for raping a woman at the Red Roof Inn in 1989. After being released in 2021, he allegedly attacked a woman walking home from work. There is talk of a plea bargain in the case against Zach Scrivener. His attorneys met with the prosecutor for the Attorney General's office in the judge's chambers on Tuesday. The case has continued until October 16th to give Scrivener's attorney H.A. Sala time to file a motion.
You know, my mother
Scrivener is charged with 2
was
counts
my
of possessing an
grandmother
assault rifle
was
and
40.
3 counts of child cruelty.
This was in
I'm Bill
1940.
Robbins in the KERN newsroom
When
with
you
news every
could
half hour
do
when
that,
it breaks on
you really
News
did,
Talk
but the statement was
96.1
extremely
and
dangerous.
AM 1180 KERN.
She had my mom when she was 40 years old.
Geis. Hello, Kern County. This is Rod Geis.
Yeah, but that's
my wife and I
commonplace now.
recently changed
Didn't
our
Gina
health care
Davis-
coverage to Medicare. We were so fortunate to have found Paul Sheldon.
What?
Paul and his
Hey,
associates
Siri,
Kelly,
how old
Lynn,
is
and
Enrique
Christine
Iglesias?
were indispensable in guiding us through the transition. They have
He's 50.
comprehensive knowledge and experience
That's a
in
nice
all
spread, 6
aspects
years.
of insurance, Medicare,
Wow, I
and
did
the
not
option.
know
They
that.
listened to our questions
I really
every
didn't.
time we walked in the door.
And did you know
and
that
they
that
followed up
the
very promptly with
picture,
the
the
answers we
engagement
needed.
picture,
With Paul's help, we made the
Kelsey,
best decisions
that's his
for us.
backyard.
The process
He
was
has a
painless,
garden
and we
in
now
his
have
backyard,
comprehensive medical
and that
coverage at a very
he
affordable price.
proposed
So if you were
the
considering
day of the
retirement and a
podcast.
change to Medicare coverage,
She
Paul
did
Sheldon
the
Insurance
podcast was at his
Benefits and
house.
Planning is hands
Yes,
down the best place
the
you can go.
podcast first. They were supposed to go to dinner, and he said,
Team Paul Sheldon.
"Bill and I'll beat." I don't know if they told
It's
him he
the
could.
JR Show.
He
So
talked
Gavin
to an
Newsom
Australian
wants
radio
to
station
counteract
called
what Texas
and
is
he told him
doing
that,
in their
they were supposed
redistricting
to go to dinner.
by trying to
Travis
take the
and
power back from an
Clarence were
independent council so he can
had all these
redistrict the
flowers
California lines. Matter of fact,
Yeah, of
he's
course
so
he did.
confident
So
that
she
he's
said,
ready to put it before
"It's a
the
little
voters.
hard."
He keeps saying, don't poke the bear. Only you're not the bear, Gavin. We
Hey, but
are
those
the
pictures are
voters.
fucking
And we'll have the final
nice.
say. And you, sir, will have egg on your
But
face.
that's what
The
chicks like
JR
that
Show.
want.
Weekdays
She
at 2
wants that
p.m.
fairy
I'm
tale.
JR Flores.
Where
Catch
else
my
would he
show,
do it?
The JR Show,
In
weekdays
the
at
middle
2
of the
p.m.
season. He's
Now,
in the middle. This
back
is
to the
middle of
Ralph
the season.
Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Her Instagram is 150%. That girl, she could be president of the United States. She really could. Time in 21st and bring in our money man from Let's Make Your Own Petrie Wealth Advisors, Daniel Petrie. How are you, Daniel?
I am doing well, Ralph. And yourself?
I'm okay. I've been better. Love to
Yeah?
be able to play golf. Still hobbling on my right foot, but
Uh-oh. Is that from the gout?
yeah, 2 months, almost
Really?
nine weeks. Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
don't know why, but in my head, I view it as like, oh, it inflamed and it went away. Like
It normally does. It's normally like a 2 or 3 day event.
Okay.
No matter how painful it is, I've gone through some extremely painful times. I had one bout when I was younger and fat that got into my knee, and I had it for like 2 weeks, and I needed crutches to get around, but that's about as long as it's ever been. And yeah, this has gone on like nine weeks now. I haven't
Oh my gosh.
swung a golf club.
Do they have a reason for the duration now? I mean, is it age?
That
or
my
just-
I'm sure age has something to do with it, but just my uric acid level is so ridiculously high that it not only just left me lame, but it moved from one foot to the other. And now it's such a weird disease. It's now moved out of my ankle, just generally into my foot. So where when I plant, it just hurts. You know, it's not that nagging ankle thing.
Right.
And I think I exacerbated it right on this show because on Tuesday I was feeling really good and I jumped up and down and I was stomping on my right foot and I felt great. And then I went to make a golf swing and I kind of tweaked it.
I think I was listening when you did that, actually.
Yeah, to that hurt a lot.
Because
So,
that must have been about, what, 4 in the F-14?
yeah, probably.
Or something?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? What
Yeah,
are you going to do?
Well, if you can't do it in your office, you probably couldn't have done it out in the real
Yeah.
world either.
So get this, Daniel.
Uh-oh.
You know Lisa Cook, don't you?
I'm help me. I know the name, but
The
I'm
controversial member of the Federal Reserve Board that Donald Trump is trying to get rid of.
Yes.
We were matriculating in Atlanta, Georgia, right across the street from each other when we were young people in our 20s. I'm
Ah.
2 years older than she was. So I was a junior at Morehouse College, right across the street, when she was a freshman at Spelman College.
Ah.
If she was cuter, I would have dated her, but she's not that cute. She's not that cute.
Okay, well.
But isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting. Small world.
Yeah, I called my roommate, Phil Sadler. He's a dentist up in Oakland. I said, "Do you know this girl? Did we meet her? Do we know her?"
Right.
He's like, "No, she was too young." You know how weird college is. Juniors and seniors don't really hang out with freshmen.
Well, it is odd. There are, just like the rest of life, it can be very cliquey. Like
It
I
is.
was with this group, not that group, or
Yeah, you look. It's weird if you've never gone to college, or maybe not gone to college back in the '80s, but you were looked down upon if you were like a junior and senior, and you had to like prey on a kid that just is getting out of high school. You know what I mean? You really were. At least in Morehouse, you were.
Remember, listen, you said two things: college and '80s.
Yeah.
And I think that was a great time.
Oh God,
it was amazing.
Yes, it was.
I don't know if it's ever been better, to be honest.
It's hard for me to say that those 4 years in Atlanta were some of the best years of my life, since it was an abject failure, and my parents poured all
That
this
doesn't
money,
matter.
all
None of
this
that matters.
all this money for me to get an education, and after 4 years, I walked away with absolutely nothing. So it's really difficult to say that it was four, but those are the 4 best years of my damn life, particularly the last 2, where we were doing crazy stuff like driving to Florida. We spent an Easter in Hilton Head.
There were good times.
Visited my grandmother. It was pretty good.
There was always something to do.
Yes.
It'd be like, yeah, what are you doing? Let's go to the pub. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, that turned into a 3 or 4 or 5 hour affair. And,
Yeah. And we had a
Yeah.
buddy on the basketball team. My roommate's best friend was on the basketball team, and sometimes we just travel with him. In fact, that's the only time I've ever been in New Orleans. They had a tournament in New Orleans, and we traveled along with the team, followed the bus, stayed near where they were staying, and spent 3 days in New Orleans. My roommate and I, and his girlfriend and my girlfriend. It was one of the best weekends I've ever had. It really was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
80s was a great time.
Yeah. And you know what? We're just old, man. You know what it was, Daniel? We were young.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Youth has a lot to do with it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Good
I mean,
movement.
the world can turn on a dime, and it's nothing's bad, or wait half an hour and it turns around. It's crazy.
That's why I say God has a sense of humor, because we didn't have a care in the world. Not a care in the world.
No.
Not really.
Nothing like real life.
Not real life, no.
Yeah.
And yet we were still stressed out as if we really had these big concerns. Because really the only concern I had, which I blew off, was getting an education. That's the only thing I had to do. It's the only job I had. And I couldn't even do that. And I still was stressed out thinking, God, life is difficult.
What am I going to eat, and
Mhm.
what are we doing tonight?
Yep, that's exactly it.
I mean, that was.
And what time do I have to go to class tomorrow?
Yeah, when is class? Do I have anything due?
Yep.
I can do that in the morning.
Yeah, but I kind of ignored that portion of it, unfortunately.
I heard you talking about that, and you said your friends did the same thing you did, yet they found a way to get through it. So.
That's my biggest just can't
You
even
must have took it to an extra level. Like, I didn't go to class, or I didn't even try to do the assignment, or.
Well, you know what it was? I don't mean to try to pat myself on the back or rationalize my own stupidity and laziness, but I was kind of a celebrity amongst the Atlanta University Center because I won a internship at CNN, which not only was I competing with the kids in the Atlanta University Center, but there were kids that were applying from Georgia Tech and from Emory and from Georgia State. And there were 4 interns they selected, and I was one of the 4. And I was working at CNN from 5 a.m. to noon. And I kind of, that was my justification that I think like my junior, senior year, I thought, I don't need an education. I can do this by myself. I was winning awards. I was, I don't know. I think that was just my rationalization.
What do I have to go to? Yeah. Why do I have to go to class when I can do it?
Exactly.
And I'll get the degree.
And it's now, and again, I wasn't just laying around doing nothing, dude. I was out the house at 4:30 in the damn morning. 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
It was odd. It was odd to kind of plan like, well, I have to get these classes in. When are they available? And knowing that, well, if I can't, I'm going to have to spend an extra. And an extra quarter wasn't a big deal. I mean, we were young, but it was a big deal in the terms of money and room and board. And
well, that's why I didn't go back for my 5th year, because I didn't think I was going to even be able to complete it. My senior year, I was just over a sophomore. I had enough credits to almost be a junior my senior year. And so when I realized if I stay here a 5th year, I'm still not going to graduate. I have to do a 6th year. So I was I might as well do it in LA. I might as well just do it at Long Beach State.
I did a 5th year. The minute I had an afternoon class in the spring, I was like, the spring is not for classes. I would take a light load in the spring, and I just went an extra year.
Yeah.
So every spring I enjoyed myself.
Well, I came home and my dad said, "You've got to go to school." And I went to Long Beach State for a year, and for the first time in my collegiate career, I did really well. And then at the end of the year, because I got on with the 49er, the newspaper there, and immediately became one of the main writers. And I just convinced myself I can do this without a college degree.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest, stupidest decision I'd ever made in my life.
Of course.
But it led me to Cal State. You know, led me to Bakersfield.
Life is funny.
Led me to Bakersfield. I would never have come up here. I'd probably still be living in Atlanta. If you want to know the truth, if I had gotten my degree at Morehouse, I'd probably still be living in Atlanta.
Yeah, life finds a way to.
I probably would have got a job at the Constitution or CNN.
We go where the work is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had to pay my own way, so it's not like I was taking an extra year and just doing it on my parents' dime.
Right? How'd you pull that off?
Well, remember, they taught me early on that I had to pay for my college. So I started picking up aluminum cans when I was a boy. Had a paper out at 10. I've been working ever since.
Jesus, you sound like my dad.
Well,
I had to walk up 10 miles in the snow.
It was forced.
I had to beg and plead for money on the corner.
I couldn't spend my money. It's like, I got $20. I can go get a burger. I mean, I probably spent half the money I earned, but the money I earned was for college, and I paid my way. I'd work in the summer and
cans. Daniel,
what's that?
Aluminum cans.
I did. Yeah. In fact,
You're a bad man.
Spilling beer on myself, and I hated it.
Wow.
But that's what,
You got to do what you got to do.
And I remember my mother looking at me like, "Don't look at me. This is for college." And I'm like, "What are you?" I didn't even know what they meant.
And
you were just kind of ingrained that I had to do that.
You were the last child of like a softball team, weren't you?
Yes, there were 9 of us. So that's why I mean it was ingrained. It was just like, this is what you do. This is what you do. And I'm like, well, I guess that's what we do. I don't know any different.
You couldn't borrow money from your older brothers?
Like, we didn't do that.
Hook a brother up, literally. I'm not talking about black people.
Money.
Hook a brother up.
I don't even think to this day I haven't asked to borrow $1 from my siblings. We just didn't. It was a typical, how families are buttoned up and pretty private, and you don't, certain families, you don't talk about that. You don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We didn't. Yeah, you didn't talk about money.
That is one of the proudest things I have accomplished in my life. After 22 years of age, I asked my father for money one time and one time only, my entire life. And that was, I got into an automobile accident with a woman in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills.
I think you've told this.
Yeah. Oh, Daniel, there's no story I tell that I haven't told at least 7 times.
I know, but it's fascinating to me. That's why people feel they know you, Ralph.
21 years on the radio. I ain't got nothing new. You know what I'm saying? But I get in the accident of this really rich woman on Robertson Boulevard in Beverly Hills in my little Chevy Chevette, my little go-kart that later got stolen when I was working at the Herald Examiner downtown. And I rear-ended her. My brakes were so bad, I couldn't stop, and I rear-ended her, barely touched her. Right. And the initial estimate, thank you, was like $1,200. And I told her, you know, I'm gonna have to give you like a couple of payments. I'm making $350 a week. And she said fine. And then I think she discovered that the car was registered to Ralph MD and not Ralph JR.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden the estimate jumped to $8,500. And I told her, well, you're gonna have to wait a long time for me to pay that off. And it was right before the riots. And when I moved in with my parents, and then I moved to Bakersfield the next month. So it's 2 months after that. And unbeknownst to me, she got a judgment against me, which suspended my license, unbeknownst to me, which is why I got whacked from the Californian. And then I get a job 2 weeks later at Channel 23. And 2 weeks later, my first paycheck, I go to Mexicali and I go to pay, and they say, your card's declined. And I said, Georgie, that's impossible. I'm celebrating my first check at Channel 23, run it again. And he goes, I'm sorry, Ralph. So I call the bank, and she's put a lien on my account. I didn't even know what a lien was.
Right. How can you do that? That's my money.
Emptied out my account. And I called my dad in tears.
Right.
And I just said, I literally don't have $1 to my name. Literally. And fortunately, they were living in town at the time before he passed away. And he said, come by the house.
The joys of youth.
Yeah. And he gave me $1,000. And that's the
I think
only
I
time.
remember I got pulled over for something, and they go, you have a warrant for your arrest. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I haven't gotten it. And somehow I'd gotten a ticket but never paid, because I had to move every 6 months. Young. I didn't. Anyway, I took care of it. But I always thought that's funny that I had a warrant for my arrest. Like,
did you not go to jail?
No, I mean, you know how it was a small town. No, I just I'm like, I basically said, what are you talking about?
See, Chris, complexion for the protection, because I have the very same story. I hate to dominate your time with all my old stories, but I'm meeting Deidre Dotson, who I've been chasing all semester long because I blew her off and she was mad and wasn't going to date me. And I talked her into it. And I'm running late. I'm running downtown Atlanta. And I double park just to run in because I'm 20 minutes late. She's luckily still standing at the hostess thing. And I say, go get us a table. I'm so sorry. I'm double parked. Let me go find a parking spot. I'll be right back. She goes, fine. I whip around the corner. I'm at a stoplight with a female motorcycle cop. I rolled down my passenger window. I said, where can I park? She goes, go 2 blocks. There's some downtown parking right there. I go, thank you very much. We go through the first red light together. The second red light turns yellow, and I go through it, and she says it was red and pulls me over.
No.
I'm livid. No. I'm like, I'm late. You don't understand. And that was yellow. And why would you were just with me. I was just talking to you. And blah, 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 blah. And she goes, give me a truck. And threw me in the Who's Gal because I had a ticket that I hadn't paid, and threw me in the Who's Gal. And a classmate of my father's had to fish me out of jail that night around midnight. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you another question.
Yes.
Everybody knows who you are, and everybody knows. When you meet young ladies or are matriculating down the field with a relationship, do they tell you off limits, you can't say a word about us, or say whatever you want? Do they, or do some not even, or is that not even a topic?
My last relationship with a girl who shall remain nameless, Carla Collins, she was livid. She hated it.
Because you did it without,
No, it was because she works at a local hospital and she is head of her department. And her underlings would listen to she never listened to the show. But the people that she supervised listen to the show every day.
Yeah.
And when I would say something like, we're going to Vegas this weekend, or we went to Vegas this weekend, they would come up to Carla and say,
that was Vegas.
Hey, I heard that you were in Vegas. And she's very private, and she would
doesn't want people knowing.
Yeah, Ralph, why would you want people to know our business? And I said,
Ralph's like, that's how I make a living.
Exactly. That's exactly what I told her. That's how I get a check every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You
What do you expect me to do?
They love when I vomit.
Yeah,
What's the matter with you? So yeah, that was a big issue in our relationship.
Yeah, I could see they'd have to set it And some wouldn't even know. Maybe they'd be like, "Wait a minute, we have to set some parameters here."
Yeah.
Some would be like, "I don't care," and others would be like, "Don't you say a word? Don't even mention my name."
In fact, in our last Honor Flight golf tournament, I ran into some colleagues of hers, didn't realize who they were. And they were like, "Have you talked to our girl?" And I was like, "Excuse me? Our girl, our girl. Come on, don't play like you don't know."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh,
Like
yeah, I've
they
talked
know
to her."
you and you spoke last night.
Yeah. And so then I looked up who they were with, and when it said Memorial Hospital, I was like, "Oh, okay. It was Carlos people." I had no idea who these people were.
Yikes.
Yeah. We have talked absolutely no finances, and
Well,
we are
I've
completely.
actually kind of enjoyed it.
I did too.
Sometimes I get more out of. I don't know if the listeners do, but so you mentioned Lisa Cook. Did you have a question, or you just?
No, I just thought it was interesting that I went to college with her, essentially.
Yeah.
But
very. Yeah.
do you think
that
she's
is-
going to keep her gig?
I don't know. It's fascinating. It's like, okay, can he even do that? He did. I kind of view it as like, hey, Lisa, you're fired, and they go, okay, I'll resign. But of course, she's like suing to not lose her job.
Yeah.
And
And the
then,
woman that just got whacked at the CDC is not leaving either. That was a big story today. I didn't really even want to get into that. But
sometimes I think Trump just does this for the story. Like, this will be interesting. Let's see.
we sure ain't talking about Epstein. We sure ain't talking about the tariffs.
I know he's a master.
He is.
Carney, I don't know. Carney Barker, I don't know what
he's
called.
P.T.
That
Barnum.
sounds terrible, but
P.T. Barnum.
He's good.
And
He's
P.T.
very
Barnum
good.
was a very successful man. Very successful.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, say what you want about him, but they're successful.
Yeah. All right, we got to fly. I can't even check gold or silver. I really don't have time. It's almost 5 o'clock, for God's sakes. Good talking with you.
More of the same. Gold and silver are both up for the week.
Yeah. And
Gold
it's
was, of course, up for the week. And futures over. We got some economic news coming in the morning. Today's economic news was okay, actually.
Yeah.
And futures are slightly down. So we'll see what happens in the morning.
Well, that was fun going down memory lane. It really was.
I enjoy those because
I did too.
get to know the nuances about people are more fascinating than the resume.
Absolutely.
In my world, I don't know about other.
No, I agree. I hope the
I
listeners
want to know the
concur.
real you, not the facade.
I concur. Have a wonderful weekend, sir.
You as well, Ralph.
Talk to you next week.
All right.
Daniel Petrie, our historian, not our money man. Not a lot of time before we get to the final hour. It's TRBS. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Friday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show will take you into the weekend with the latest fallout of the awful school shooting in Minneapolis. And we will also dive into the weekend
and discuss the latest on how this Trump economy is looking going into the fall. Notice the price of gasoline, my friends, going into Labor Day weekend, looking pretty low because Trump's getting it done. We'll talk about that and more coming up on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Look who's here. It's Gino Antonio Valpredo from Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen. Gino, I call you the Michael Corleone of the family because you kind of stumbled into the family business.
I worked there in junior college a little bit, never known that I'd be back into the business. And then my mom and dad took it over, and I still love the same. And they said, well, we have a restaurant. What do we do now? And my mom said, just treat people the way you want to be treated.
Antonio, it's that philosophy that you've created that's made Luigi's such an iconic restaurant.
I feel like the community comes together when they talk about Luigi's because we've been there for so long. I have seen so many families and children and their children and their children. When we started, it was something else. And now look at it. It's amazing. 80-something employees, and they're just the best people in all of Bakersfield.
Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, where families meet.
Hi, I'm Rick Sorcy, certified kitchen and bath designer and owner of Stockdale Kitchen and Bath. When it comes to remodeling your kitchen or bathroom, you deserve a process that's personal, precise, and as stress-free as possible. That's why I personally designed every project with you using state-of-the-art three-dimensional software so you can see exactly what your new space will look like even before construction begins. No guesswork, no surprises, just a clear vision brought to life. And I believe in guiding you through every step of the process. I shop with you, cabinets, countertops, fixtures, so you get the perfect combination of style and function. We work with top quality American-made cabinet brands like Waypoint, Diamond, Medallion to ensure long-lasting beauty and craftsmanship. If you're ready to turn your vision into reality, let's design something amazing together. Call Stockdale Kitchen and Bath at 661-834-3333 or visit StockdaleKitchenandBath.com today. Stockdale Kitchen and Bath, beautiful cabinetry, smart design.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Every night she walks right in my dreams since I met her from the start.
Somebody in the chat room said that if I had stayed in Atlanta, I would likely be a liberal Democrat still. I don't know what geography has anything to do with it. I think it would have played out, my political beliefs would have played out just as it has. I think I would have been a liberal Democrat throughout the 90s. I thought Bill Clinton, believe it or not, despite his baggage, and I think there's more baggage there than we know, to be honest with you. A lot of people died around the Clintons during the 90s, including Ron Brown, whose daughter I went to school with. He was his Secretary of Defense, who died mysteriously in a plane crash but had a bullet wound in his skull. And the guy that they ended up dead killed himself in a park. But I still thought Bill Clinton was a great president, and I could be a part of that 90s Democratic Party. But around the turn of the century, when the party started to change, and now it is, I mean, even around the turn of the century, it was much more moderate than it is today. I think I could be in Cairo, Egypt, and I would have still eventually become a Republican. Because I don't think it's the Reagan line. I didn't become a Republican. I left the Democratic Party. I was an independent for about 2 years and became a Republican right around 05, 06. Quick time out. Final hour of the broadcast. I'd stick around if I you.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
Oh.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. As more information emerges about what exactly happened at yesterday's mass shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic church, Hennepin Healthcare EMS Chief Martin Shearer says there were notable acts of courage inside the church during the shooting.
There's a lot of maybe unrecognized heroes in this event, along with the children that were protecting other children, which is really amazing to hear about. I might be saying too much, but we had one kid that covered up another kid and took a shotgun blast to his back and things like that, and they were helping each other out.
2 children died and 18 were wounded in the attack. The shooter, identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, fired 116 rifle rounds through stained glass
I wish I
windows
liked
while the
popsicles.
children celebrated Mass during the first week of classes at the Annunciation Catholic School. He later killed himself.
I can't chew ice.
Former Major League
Ice, it
Baseball
makes me
player Mark
cringe.
Teixeira announced Thursday he's running for an open U.S. House seat in Texas. Correspondent Bernie Bennett has details.
Teixeira, who played first base for 4 teams over his 13-year career, made the announcement on a post on the social media platform X, saying he is a lifelong conservative and is running on principles to make Texas and the U.S. great. He's running for the seat representing Texas's 21st congressional district, currently held by Republican Chip Roy, who announced last week he will run for state attorney general. Teixeira pledged to be a supporter of President Donald Trump. Bernie Bennett reporting.
The Trump administration has asked a military base outside of Chicago for support on immigration operations. The move offers a clue of what his expanded law enforcement crackdown might look like in the nation's 3rd largest city. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 71 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Oh, she's mine.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Hi, my name's Neil. I have some advice for you if you've been trying to break free from credit card debt. You can start by doing what I did. Get your bills together and call Trinity Debt Management. Trinity is dedicated to helping people like me become debt-free. When I called, my first experience was a feeling of relief. My counselor was kind, and best of all, she didn't judge me. In just a few minutes, she helped me figure out a plan that consolidated all my bills into one lower monthly payment. This substantially reduced my high interest rates and put me on the road to success. In the end, I saved thousands in interest, and today my credit card debt is a thing of the past.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Neil. Take it from someone who's been there. Call Trinity and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the KERN Newsroom, you're live and
Hey, where'd you
local
get
news
this?
update on News Talk.
Where'd you get this?
96.1 and AM 1180.
Does it say where he got it?
KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. A man has been arrested on charges related to human trafficking. A little after 7:15 Tuesday night, BPD.
It's just the California governor's website.
23-year-old Calvin McCoy was arrested and charged with alleged pimping, pandering, and human trafficking. Detectives say McCoy was commercially, sexually exploiting a victim for 3 days. A woman continued her second day of testimony today using a laser pointer to show where she was walking on Ming Avenue the night a man dragged her behind a power box and tried to rape her. The incident happened on May 2nd in 2022. She managed to get away from Sergio Venegas.
You got Ragon too, by the way.
Oh, that's
Police stole several items
Totally
from
forgot.
her. Venegas is a convicted rapist. If he's convicted this time, he'll be sentenced to life in prison. Bakersfield police report that a 1-month-old baby involved in a car crash has died. At about 7:30 Sunday night, officers were called to the scene of the crash on 8th Street and T Street. A pickup and sedan were
Hey,
involved.
Siri.
The baby was in the silver
Show
sedan
me
and taken to the
the
hospital.
Ryder
Both
Cup
drivers
team for
cooperated with
2025.
officers. The baby was later pronounced dead at Valley Children's Hospital in Madera on Monday. The decision affirming the grant of parole to 49-year-old Josue Daniel Palma Herrera was made according to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Siri.
However, according to the California
Show me the
Department of Corrections
2025 Ryder
website, he
Cup
will
team.
not become eligible for parole until August of 2033 after spending 25 years behind bars. On August 10th, 2008, the son of Herrera's girlfriend was taken to Kern Medical with serious injuries, including a skull fracture and bleeding from both eyes. He did not survive. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Little bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180
Now
KERN.
make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Thursday, 28th day of August. It's the Ralph Bailey Show, News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com and broadcasting live on YouTube. Just go to Kern Radio, punch in my name. I'm wearing a black Raider polo. That's how you'll find me. Not too many brothers broadcasting radio shows on YouTube. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk a little sports. We'll play that audio again for you from the little tete-a-tete between Taylor Townsend and Elena Ostapenko, where the black girl, Taylor Townsend, I don't know if that's relevant, she's African-American, but apparently there's this unwritten rule in tennis. We saw it at Wimbledon between Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff, where if you have a let ball play, in other words, if it hits the net and barely scoots over for either a winner or a more difficult shot, at the end of the point, the one that hit it is supposed to kind of wave and recognize that, hey, I got lucky. But it's ridiculous. Coco didn't do it. Sabalenka had a problem with it. Well, this girl had a problem with it as well. And she said that she had no class and no education. And the joke, we'll play the audio for you again. The joke is in the interview following, Taylor Townsend said, well, she got off to a great start. She said, well, people get upset when they lose and they say things that maybe they don't truly mean. She said, I have no class and no education, but I've beaten her. And she said, wait till we get out of this country and I'll beat you. And I thought to myself, I've beaten her out of this country. I beat her out of this country in Canada. I beat her out of this country in New York. And I will continue to beat her. I just found that a little humorous that she was called stupid and then went on and said something ridiculously stupid. That unless New York is some unknown country that I've never heard of. I beat her in Canada. I'll beat her in the Bronx. I'll beat her anywhere outside the United States. Okay. And the Dodgers swept the Reds last night. Shohei Ohtani got 9 strikeouts. And most importantly, I'm not worried about the division. I'm not worried about the Padres. Are you kidding me? Not worried. But we're half a game up on Philly for that second spot, so we don't have to get into that infamous 3-game play-in series. Really don't want to do that. But in the meantime, speaking of sports, we are days away from the Ryder Cup. So, of course, we are on our way to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia to be specific, via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network to bring in our Golf Aficionado Tour Championship tour director, Dick Ragone. What's really going on?
I thought you forgot about me, Ralphie. I thought you were just going to go into your segment.
No, sorry.
You're listening, taking it all in.
Sorry. I had to preview the rest of the show. This is going to be a fun Ryder Cup at Bethpage. This is going to be fun to watch. Don't you think?
It will be crazy. Bethpage is rowdy. It's not going to be a great viewer experience. I mean, I'm not going. Bethpage it's a nightmare to get in and out of Long Island. Ryder Cup is notoriously difficult. So it's not great viewing in person, but I'm sure the atmosphere is going to be electric. The New York crowd is going to be liquored up and rowdy.
Yeah.
With Tommy Fleetwood winning, that's probably good for the Ryder Cup. There's kind of been McIntyre down the stretch the last couple of weeks. There was a little, Europe USA thing going on. Rory being Rory and Scheffler playing well. I think it's going to be a great Ryder Cup. And honestly, if you look on paper, the European team is stronger. It just is. I mean, this American team is not super impressive.
It really isn't.
It really isn't. I thought I was surprised by Keegan's pick in that I thought he'd pick himself because he's playing great golf. He's who you want on the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And I thought he'd pick Brian Harman. Brian Harman was 12th in points. He's a pit bull. He was right there all year. He's a great player. And a little surprised at Patrick Cantlay. I mean, did anybody seem slower, more like a sourpuss than Patrick Cantlay? I mean, talk about living on reputation. I think if the Americans don't win, I have a feeling Patrick Cantlay is going to be the dog of this because, A, he's just so unbearably slow, and B, he just seems to be a sourpuss, and he doesn't particularly like the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I thought he didn't have a positive experience the last time. What was it about? There was something going on.
He wanted money. He wanted to get paid.
Oh, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
He's just a prima donna. He's so insufferably slow, painfully slow, and self-unaware. Like, it's so obvious. It's like, dude, speed up. I mean, it's hard to watch when he shuffles his feet for like a minute. It's really painful. And so anyway, I think the European team, on paper is stronger. I think Bethpage will give them a little bit of an edge, the Americans, in that it's going to get out of hand. Like, just be prepared for that. It will get out of hand. Rory's going to have a meltdown because the fans are going to yell at him. And, we're going to go through all that stuff. There's always an incident. Remember with the one with Joe LaCava, the caddy getting on, when he caddied for Cantlay, he got on, I think Rory got his face. Like, there's always drama. So it'll be drama.
Yeah. And you're right. The Bethpage audience will be rowdy as all get out. There'll be some, you're right. There'll be some incident. Clearly.
No, without you mark it down, there will be an incident with the fans in the Euros. There'll be an incident with some caddy and a player. There's going to be all sorts of incidents. Keegan's a pretty fiery guy. I don't think he'll mix it up. But, Rory's been sort of off his game a little bit and just off kilter since winning the Masters. He seems ornery and and a little pissy. And I wouldn't be shocked if, like last time, he's in the middle of the histrionics and all the drama. Like this is going to be for good. You know, you got John Rahm on that team. I'm sure he'll be on the team. That'll be interesting. They have that dynamic of the live guy.
Right.
You know, you got Bryson out there. He's been playing great golf. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Let me do my job real quick for those listening. Here is the ball club. Scotty Scheffler, obviously, J.J. Spahn, Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley, Harris English. That's where you lose me right there with those two.
Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Harris English.
Yeah. Bryson DeChambeau. Here are all the captain's picks. And I'll go in opposite order because I want to ask you about the last one. Sam Burns, Cameron Young, the aforementioned Patrick Cantley, Ben Griffin, Colin Morikawa, and Justin Thomas. Are you shocked by that?
I'm not shocked. I mean, he did win once this year. He's playing reasonably well. JT's a good locker room guy. So not shocked by that. I was surprised by Cantlay. I mean, he has not played well all year. He's such a sourpuss. I just like Brian Harmon a lot. I think Brian Harmon would he's won a major and he's been playing pretty well. And I think he was like 11 on the points list, so he's right there. And he's a tough pit bull, and he's a good alternate shot player. You know, keeps it in play, putts great. So I think that was a weird pick. I thought Keegan might pick himself. He's playing great golf.
Yeah.
You know, Morikawa has not played that well.
No, he really
has
hasn't.
not played that well. And then, Russell Henley and Harris English, to me, you know, two good players. I'm not saying they're not good, but like untested, unproven, pretty forgetful guys, never done anything in the majors. Like you've never seen them sniff out a leaderboard in a major. Russell Henley, you couldn't pick that guy out of a lineup. Harris English and Harris Swafford, they are like interchangeable. So Hudson Swafford. So it's, I think there's some weakness on that American team.
I do too.
The Euro team. Let's go down that.
I didn't even go to look that up. As a matter of fact, give me a second. You're right. When I look at that, hey Siri, show me the 2025 European Ryder Cup team. I don't see any sure winners other than Scotty and maybe
I think Bryson. I mean, I think
Bryson. Yeah, Bryson.
Legitimately a top three guy in the world. I think Bryson and Scotty are the kind of anchors of that team as far as like guys you could bank that are going to show up and play great golf. Outside of Xander's not had a great year. I mean, he got in off of his two majors last year.
Yeah.
He's been hurt this year. He's not played great. Now, look, he could show up and be dominant, but like if you're looking for dominant anchors, they have two, Scotty and Bryson. Now, they're two good ones. Scotty, best player in the world. Bryson, arguably the second or third best player in the world. But, you know, if you pulled up the European team at the top, they got Rory, they got
Robert McIntyre, Tommy Fleetwood.
McIntyre's playing great. Fleetwood's playing out of his mind. You
Justin
got John
Rose.
Rahm, who's playing great golf.
Justin Rose is playing well. Rasmus Højgaard, Tyrell Hatton,
Tyrell Hatton playing well.
Sean Laurie, Sepp Straka. Am I pronouncing it right? Ludwig.
Yeah, Straka's one.
Ludwig
Albert's
playing really well. Victor Hovland's a stud.
Hovland's playing well.
Yep. Matt Fitzpatrick and Matt Wallace.
Playing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's 1 through 12. I think that team is more balanced. I think the bottom four, if you look at Cantlay, Russell Henley, who I'm not a huge fan of, Harris English, who I'm not a huge fan of, Ben Griffin, who's never played in anything and up to 2 years ago was a life insurance salesman. You know, playing good golf, but like has no experience and hits it like I hit it further than him. So I think 1 through 12, they're stronger. I think at the tippy top, you know, let's call it a wash between the big three on each team. You look at Scheffler, Bryson, and let's say Xander are the big three. You know, they're big three. You got Rory, you got Tommy Fleetwood, you got John Rahm. So, you know, they're pretty comparable at the tippy top. You get to the middle six, comparable. You get to the bottom 4 or 5, and like, you know, I'll take a McIntyre, you know, and Tyrell Hatton on their bottom over Russell Henley and Ben Griffin and Cantlay, who I think has played poor and has got a poor attitude and has never done anything in the Ryder Cup.
And traditionally, because for those that don't know, there are 3 formats. Traditionally, the United States has been able to either come back or seal a victory with the singles on the final day. And I don't see a lot of these guys beating the European guys one-on-one.
Yeah, the singles are going to be a problem because the Euro team is deeper. So typically in the In the four ball, they're pretty evenly matched. In the four sums, which is we call it alternate shot, the Euros have dominated. Alternate shot. Dominated. Like it's not even close.
Never understood that. Never understood.
I don't know that and it's consistent. I mean, since Sebi, since 79, 40, 50 years now, they've dominated it. So like the Americans are always behind, almost always behind going into Sunday. And singles historically, the Americans have been better because historically the American team is deeper 1 through 12. I don't think that's the case here. I think this team, the European team, I think is deeper 1 through 12. So it'll be interesting if the Americans are behind going into Sunday, it's going to be a real uphill climb.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely. What's going on with you? We haven't talked to you for a while. I saw that the boy who dresses better than you is on his way back to his final year at the University of Chicago. That was a great picture.
He's coming home actually for a couple of weeks before classes start to get some home cooking from his mom, and he's been working this summer in Chicago, interning, and then we have the Eagles kick off on Thursday, so I'll be at opening night against Dallas. That'll be fun.
Really? Are you going to suite? Of course you. That's a dumb question.
Yeah.
Let me take that question back. Whose suite are you in? Is the question.
I mean, I'm in our suite, or Jefferson. We have a suite, so I'm in my own suite.
Would you like to expound?
No, not really. Except to say, I think it's going to be a great season.
No. You made a reference to a hospital.
Oh no, I think we talked about that last time I was on.
No, you said you were in Philly. That's all you said.
I took a new role. No,
Chris,
I did not.
Did he talk about his gig? Did he talk about his gig last time he was here?
I don't fully remember talking about the gig. I do remember him saying that he was close to Villanova.
Yes, you said I'm in Philly. I'm closer to New York.
I wouldn't have talked about moving back east, but for a new job. So I'm at Jefferson, which is a big national healthcare system based in Philly. Same role, executive vice president. I oversee marketing communications. I created a PGA Tour Champions event, so very similar to my old role, working with old colleagues of mine that were at Ascension, and we're back in Philly. We're actually not far. We're 2 miles from Villanova, so we're literally stumbling distance away.
Nice. And when is the golf tournament?
It is September of 26, so the end of September, so a year and a month. We will have to fly you out for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. It's I think I'm the only person in history to create 2 Champion Tour events.
Yeah, I would say so.
In St. Louis is actually next week, so I have 2 Champion Tour events. If I create one more, the joke is I get to become commissioner.
That's funny. That is a unique thing on your resume. That is incredible.
Absolutely.
That really is.
It's kind of cool, and it's good for us. We're a big company. We're rebranding it a little bit. Jefferson. We're moving into Lehigh Valley, so our event is at Lehigh Country Club, part of our rebrand of Jefferson. And I've already been in touch with a lot of the players. They're really excited, and it's going to be a great event. It's going to be a premier event. Lehigh Country Club's fantastic.
Yeah,
and we'll bring you out. You'll enjoy it. We're doing a pro-am with the Eagles.
Ooh,
with friends on Monday. I've become good friends with Mike Quick, who's a great golfer and a good friend, and
great wide receiver for the Eagles.
Great wide receiver. He's one of the best from that era.
Yeah,
they're all the Eagles alumni. They're all in the area. Carmichael and Jaworski and Seth Joyner, and they're all great community guys. They all play golf.
Harold Carmichael.
Harold Carmichael. I've become friends with Harold Carmichael.
I didn't even know he was still alive.
He is. He's still tall. The funny thing is, my brother Tom's a diehard Raider fan, and so that '80 Super Bowl over the Eagles, I have that memorized. 33-10 and the whole deal. And
Kenny
I think
King,
it was 29-10. Kenny King, 80 yards
up the
down
sidelines.
Rod Martin's 3 picks.
Yep.
So I've played golf with Spagnola and Quick all the time, and I'm always bringing up Rod Martin his 3 picks, or Quick. It's funny. So I was playing with Quick, and I said we started talking about Lester Hayes, and as soon as I said Lester, he goes, "Oh man, I owned Lester. 8. He goes, he knew his stats against Lester off the top of his head. He goes,
of course,
8 receptions, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like he knew it like that, like clockwork."
Lester Hayes, man, those are the days. Those are the vintage years with Mike Ames on the other side.
Ames and Lester, yeah.
Oh, that was one of the best.
Lester should be in the Hall. Lester's
arguably
a top 5 cornerback of all time.
You know what?
I think he holds the record for 13 picks in a season, I think.
Do you know what holds him back? Do you know what they still
put? Stick 'em.
Yes.
Stick 'em.
They claim that was
That's what Quick said. He goes, man, playing against him, you'd come off the field, you'd have all that stuff all over you. It probably had something to do with it, but like for a 2, 3 year, 4 year run in the late 70s, early 80s, Lester was
the
most dominant.
Yep.
Not just corner. He was, he wasn't LT, but like he was a game changer.
Yep.
The people forget how good, look, how they shut down the Redskins in 83, but for a couple years when Haynes was on that team and Lester was still healthy, they're still the best cornerback tandem in the history of the sport.
Ooh.
No doubt about it. No, that's not even up for debate. Not even up for debate.
I'm actually wearing my Raider shirt today, and
That is not, Ralphie. That is not up for debate, buddy.
I'd have to think about it.
Minnifield and Dixon. Who you going to go with? Come on, they were shutdown corners.
Yeah, they
didn't
really
even
were.
help.
They really were. They really, really were.
They shut down a really good Redskins team. Art Monk and Charlie Brown and Garrett were 3 really good receivers. I don't think they had touches until the fourth quarter.
That's true. That was a great afternoon.
They shut them down.
Yeah. After they beat us in the regular season that year.
I tell you, that 83, 84 Raiders team is, to me, a top 10 team of all time. That Eagles, the 80 team that beat the Eagles, they were the first team to win 3 wild card games to get to the Super Bowl.
Yep. All on the road.
All on the road.
All on the road.
And that Cleveland game, they should have lost that. Brian Sipe threw an end zone.
Oh, that's the greatest thing in the world. Greatest story in the world.
Great picks of all
that
time.
was Sam, who's the head coach? Sam
Rutigliano.
Sam Rutigliano. We could have kicked the field goal. Instead, they go for the end zone. And Mike Davis, and every Raider tells this story, Mike Davis couldn't catch a cold. And yet he makes a killer diving catch.
Yes,
in the ice and the snow in the back of the Cleveland end zone, seals the win for us. We win 17-14.
And then they go on to Houston the next week. They beat Earl Campbell and that team with Kenny Stabler.
Yep. God, you're taking me back to my youth, man. You really are.
And they should have won in the strike-shortened season, 82. I think it was Marcus's rookie year. They lost to the Jets in a bogus game. They should have went to the Super Bowl in that year against the Redskins. Like they lost to the Raiders, the Jets at the Coliseum.
Yes, Richard Todd beat us. I remember it well. I remember it well.
Raider team, I think they went 10-1, and Marcus was unstoppable. And
And the facility was still in Oakland. They were literally flying to LA to play the games. The facility was still in. The facility was still in Oakland.
LA.
Yeah.
Marcus for that run at 83, 84, 85. Again, like if I'm starting an all-time team, I'm not taking Marcus first as a running back, but like Marcus was a three threat. He actually could block, he could throw, he could catch as good as anybody, he could run. I think when he won the MVP in 84, he had 1,850 yards rushing. He almost, like Roger Craig was the first guy to go 1,000, but Marcus, I think he almost did that a few times.
One of the greatest running backs. Yeah, he really was. Really was.
He's underrated. He is so underrated.
Totally. Have I ever told you the story about how he was sleeping with Lee Iacocca's wife? And you want to hear a great story about my dad and what a workaholic he is? We had season tickets. We had Ram season tickets. We had an opportunity to get Raider season tickets. Our Ram season tickets were horrible. I mean, we were literally up there by the lights. And our Raider seats were in the 10th tunnel at the Coliseum, like on the 15-yard line. And it's the 83 year. It's my junior year in college. I come home for Christmas, and they're in the playoffs. It's Seattle Seattle Seahawks AFC Championship game. At that time, it was a record crowd, 99,000. Skelly and I, my best friend and I, get there, and these people around us go, "Who are you guys?" And I go, "These are our seats. These are our season tickets. Haven't you met my father? He's a kind of a tall, heavy-set African-American man." And they said, "No one sat in those seats all season long." I was like, "What?" He was he was either at work or he was asleep or reading some tome, some anesthesiology book 6 inches deep. I was like, "Pop, you didn't go to one game?" I don't have time for that nonsense. I'm like, then why did we get tickets?
Marcus had a great run, by the way. That postseason, he tore up the Steelers, he tore up the Seahawks. I'm trying to remember. I guess it was those 2 games. I mean, and then obviously the Super Bowl, but that was one of the great runs.
One of the great runs where he reversed pivot and came back and scored.
Yeah. I mean, he was hard to hit. He was hard to hit. He had a funky style, and you couldn't square him up.
Yeah. and couldn't keep him out of the end zone. If it was on the 3-yard line, everyone in the stadium knew it was going to Marcus, and there was
He
nothing you could
invented
do about
over
it.
the top. People
Yeah,
don't
he did.
realize he invented that.
Yeah,
Nobody
he
was
did.
doing that.
Yep. Always good to talk to you, sir. Got to fly. Talk to you again soon when the Ryder Cup comes around.
All right, Pop.
All right, take care, man. Love you. Nick Ragone. Quick timeout. Got to go. See you in a minute.
News Talk 96.1.
I'm gonna have maybe 30 seconds.
Just play the music.
I figured. Well, that's what I was trying to get you to do, is just eat up the last minute anyway, and I would just
And
play
just go to the end?
Yeah, I go straight to news.
Yeah,
But
we should have.
it's all good. We'll just play music and go straight into it.
It's time you learned about
What's
Qualcare
for
IPA.
dinner?
Qualcare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large
What
network
is for
of
dinner?
outstanding doctors and quality hospitals.
so
right here in
limited
Kern
on what I
County.
can freaking
Medicare
eat.
Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544. Let us help you understand your healthcare option for 2025. Call today, 661-554-4544.
think I wanna do sushi.
661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage.
Probably not the worst idea for tonight.
Special needs at meetings. Call 661-554-4544. TTY 711.
But I got Coco, and I haven't watced.
Every day is sale day.
I didn't watch Tuesday's Hard Knocks. Did you watch Tuesday's Hard Knocks?
You won't find.
I haven't really been paying attention this season.
It's
at all.
not a good one.
That's what Randy keeps telling me, and honestly, like ever since I can keep hearing that, I'm just meh.
He said this one's good though, because they're getting close. Because the next one will be the cuts.
Yeah,
So this one, he said they concentrate on all the guys that are on the bubble.
good. I mean, we really don't need to hear from Josh Allen or any of those guys. Although it would be nice to.
And they're not playing, and they really, other than James Cook, they don't have any superstars.
No.
They don't have anybody other than Hamlin.
Keon
that
Coleman.
I've even heard of.
Yeah, the receiver might be if he can actually break out this year,
Who?
but the Keon Coleman kid, he probably hasn't
yeah.
even talked to.
Yeah.
He's got a great personality, but I don't know. We'll see.
How does Ragone remember more about the 80 Raiders than I do? And I was like, in college.
I genuinely believe he looks this stuff up before he comes on sometimes.
No. How did you know I was going to bring up the
Now,
Raiders?
back to the Ralph
I think he's
Bailey
got a
Show.
photographic memory.
In the
He
dark.
comes up with stuff.
Keep on moving. Oh.
You know, I've never. Is that all the time we have? We're heading into the back half of the hour. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1
Hey, Siri.
and AM 1180
Call Bento Sushi.
KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A judge has ordered a new trial for 3 former Memphis police officers who were convicted of federal
Hi.
charges in the fatal beating of Tyree
I'm
Nichols.
doing the same.
The order comes after defense lawyers
All right,
argued
thank
that
you.
another judge who presided
Bye-bye.
over their trial was biased against the men. U.S. District Judge Cheryl H. Lipman issued the order for a new trial for Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith. The Education Department says Denver Public Schools violated Title IX protections against sex-based discrimination in education by creating all-gender bathrooms and allowing students to use bathrooms corresponding with their so-called gender identity.
Mike and I got a wedding to
The
go to
finding
this
announced
Saturday.
Thursday follows an unprecedented
Hey, I heard
probe
you met
of
your
Denver's
parents. Your
East High
family.
School.
Huh?
More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Bill Robbins. The trial started on Wednesday for a convicted rapist prosecutors say attacked a woman just months after being paroled from prison. 62-year-old Sergio Venegas had already served 30 years in prison for raping a woman at the Red Roof Inn in 1989. After being released in 2021, he allegedly attacked a woman walking home from work. There is talk of a plea bargain in the case against Zach Scrivener. His attorneys met with the prosecutor for the Attorney General's office in the judge's chambers on Tuesday. The case is continued until October 16th
Right.
to give Scrivener's
I
attorney
would've thought
H.A.
you all
Sala
going
time to
KC's
file a
have them
motion.
lobster mac and
Scrivener is
cheese.
charged with 2 counts of possessing an assault rifle and 3 counts of child cruelty. I'm Bill Robbins in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph
Yeah,
Bailey for
smart.
Sangera Subaru. It's that time again for the
a
Subaru
nice
A Lot to Love event. Now through September 2nd, get incredible offers on 2025 Subarus. And if you've been thinking about an EV, the 2024 Solterra is a great choice. First, it's a Subaru. Same quality, safety, and
Yeah,
technology
Robbie
you
Pratt.
expect from a Subaru. Plus, it's the only EV that comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. And now, through September 2nd, lease a 2025 Solterra for just $259 a month for 36 months and zero due at signing. That's right, absolutely nothing at signing. It's an incredible offer on Subaru EV. So don't miss the Subaru A Lot to Love event going on now at Sangera Subaru, 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Auto Mall. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community.
2025 Subaru Solterra Premium SST Model SCD-11 with MSRP $41,181, 36 monthly lease payments of $259 per month plus tax, $0 security deposit, $0 plus registration and title, first payment, and $85 doc fee due at inception. Lease based on 7,500 miles per year, 15 cents per mile over. Available to qualified buyers through Subaru Motor Finance with Tier 1 SCA. On approved credit, price voucher 9225. VIN number SA104648.
Friday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show will take you into the weekend with the latest fallout of the awful school shooting in Minneapolis. And we will also dive into the weekend
and discuss the latest on how this Trump economy is looking going into the fall. Notice the price of gasoline, my friends, going into Labor Day weekend, looking pretty low because Trump's getting it done. We'll talk about that and more coming up on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Let's all hope that Mr. Ragone is still not listening. Because I've often conceded that he's one of the smartest guys that I've ever met, literally. He's got a law degree, writes extremely well.
Which we forgot to ask if he actually practiced.
Oh, yeah. God damn. We'll talk to him in a couple of weeks. But how? Because I think, at least 10 years older than he is. I think. Maybe 7. But how the hell does he know the Raiders in the 80s when I was in college and was a Raider freak? It was one of the most frustrating times in my life because this was before, you look back on the ratings in the 80s in the NFL, and they were in the toilet. MASH for years was the last episode of MASH for years was the highest rated event till about, I think, like the mid 90s is when the Super Bowl just kind of exploded. I mean, the Super Bowl was always a big deal, but to show you how convenience, not the word, but affordable it was. As a child, I've been to 2 Super Bowls. We got tickets to the Vikings Raider game, and I can't remember how my pop pulled that off at the Rose Bowl. And as Ram season ticket holders, we got tickets to the 79 Ram Pittsburgh Super Bowl, which I always talk about. It was one of the greatest and worst days of my life. It was one of the greatest days of my life because it was the Super Bowl, and I was going to the Super Bowl. And we had 4 tickets, and my dad even blew off his brother, my Uncle Irvin. And he flew in. He had 2 guys that he went to med school with that lived in Pittsburgh who were Pittsburgh Free Steeler fans. And he flew them out. They stayed at our house for a week, and we all went to the game together. And the way we would go to the games is my mother would drop us off. Or no, we would drive our car downtown, leave the car downtown, and take a bus to Pasadena. Because to try to drive out to Pasadena and park, even then, the dimensions on the Rose Bowl haven't changed. Whether it's 21st century or 20th century, it's still 100,000 people. So the park was absurd. So we would park our car downtown, take a bus with a bunch of other Super Bowl people to the Rose Bowl. And on the bus, my dad turns to me and he says, since we've both been to the Rose Bowl and Dr. Wilson and Dr. Jackson haven't, I'm going to sit with Dr. Wilson. You sit with Dr. Jackson, show him where to get hot dogs and everything. And I was like, what? I'm not sitting with you. He said, no, don't you think that makes much sense? More sense? Because these guys don't know the stadium like we do. And I stupidly said, yeah, Pop. Yeah, that makes more sense. And like the first quarter, I was miserable. I was like, he stayed with us for a week, so I kind of knew him. He was like the star basketball player, and he kept challenging me at basketball. And a couple of times I beat him, and he got mad. But by that time, 79, I'm a junior. I'm almost a senior. And it was kind of a love-hate thing. I was like, I had a great time. And of course, we lost 31-19, but it was much, much closer than that. 24-19, 3rd and 19. Bradshaw goes 3rd and 19. And they're like on their 40, their own 40. There's no way they pick up the first down. We get the ball in pretty decent shape. Halfway through the fourth quarter, we score. Brand new ball game. 3rd and 19, and Stallworth does a post. We've got double coverage, Dave Elmendorf, Rod Perry, and it was on the front page of the Sports. It was the cover picture on the Sports Illustrated. You see Stallworth with his hands extended and Rod Perry, number 49, coming across, and you can see the ball go over his hands in the picture, and you just see Stallworth with his hands out. They pick up the first down on 3rd and 19, 28-yard pickup. They go on and score to make it 31-19, and that's how the game. Ray Malavasi was our head coach, and Vince Ferragamo, whose brother I had a relationship with. His brother, Bruce, was a legendary coach out at Banning High School. And wait. I'm lying. Timeline is wrong. I wouldn't meet Bruce Ferragamo until I started working at the Sentinel, which was after college, so I'm lying. Bailey, Vince Ferragamo, Bruce Ferragamo, take 2. And Vince Ferragamo was the quarterback, and his brother Bruce was a legendary football coach out at Banning. And years later, when I would be working for the Sentinel and try to make a little extra money doing high school football, I covered Bruce Ferragamo. He was the head coach of Banning High School, which was a absolute feeder school to USC. I think Ronnie Lott went to Banning. Just a bunch of really good athletes. I think Charles White. No, he went to San Fernando. And I could be wrong about Ronnie Lott too. But anyway, there were just a slew of great athletes that came out of those Banning teams in the what is that, mid-late 80s. But yeah, that's my tragic Super Bowl story. Didn't even sit with my dad. The 77 Super Bowl, when I was in 8th grade with now that was me, my dad, my uncle, and God, I can't remember who the 4th person was. I really can't. But that was great. And when they do the Super Bowl thing during Super Bowl period, and they go through every one of the Super Bowls, I watch it every single time, where the halftime they have the little silver things underneath our seats. We all had to stand up and shake our these silver flags that they had. And then, we couldn't see it because we're there, obviously. You can see kind of across the field, but to look at it on television afterwards was like, wow. And I was a part of that. Oh, that was a great afternoon. 842-5376, 842-KERN. But I don't know, Chris thinks that Nick preps. But
I was just joking.
How could he prep
I think
for,
you're right. I think
for the
he's got
Raiders stuff? I think he's got a photographic
I
memory.
think so too. You could just tell just the amount of information he's able to absorb and know right off the top of his cup. Like,
I was in college.
Yeah.
And a Raider freak. And he knew Raider facts as well, if not better than I did.
And he had to be like 10 years old at the time.
And even beyond that, just like you said, him passing the bar, him having all of this knowledge of golf and all of these other
Being
things.
able to create 2 different championship tour events.
He's on a whole nother level.
He really is. That's why I'm praying he's not listening right now.
You'll get a text message in about 5 minutes.
No, he doesn't gloat. He'd mention it to me at some point. Maybe the next time I'm in Philly. Oh, I can't wait for that. I cannot wait for that.
Cheesesteaks.
I love Philadelphia. I absolutely love Philadelphia. And y'all can hate me if you want, but I had never been to Philadelphia, nor had I ever been to Baltimore. Just like, well, same thing in St. Louis. When I went to St. Louis, I don't know, maybe I'm just so drenched in lack of culture, diversity. I don't think I would have been so shocked at the Black population in Baltimore or Philly or St. Louis if I had spent all of my 63 years in LA. But and I'm not making a judgment call. It's factual. When you're an African American and you move to a town where just about everywhere you go, you're either the only or one of 2, maybe 3 Black people in the room. When you go to a city like St. Louis and Philadelphia and Baltimore, it is eye-opening, to say the least. Where you go into a restaurant and half the people are Black. And you can get mad at me if you want and say I'm a racist or whatever, but there's no place in this town where you're going to go and half the people in the room are Black. There's not. You name me a restaurant. I bet even Mom's Place, you walk in and I bet it's mostly white people. And it was startling to me the first time I went to Philly. And it was the first time when I went to Philly, I went with, well, I can't say who I went with now. I want to tell the story, but it was the first time I went to a strip club. And it was a weird strip club. It was a strip club in a bar. And you know what they did? They put plaques over the bar. And they had like this one area for the bartenders, but they put plaques on the bar area. You know what I'm saying? So where the bartenders walk, they would put these planks down right like in front of you.
Right.
And the girls would come out and walk. So you're sitting right here and they're walking like right here. Like you're like right. I was like, okay, that's a little too close. I don't need to be, And it was all about the champagne room. It was all about the champagne room. And that's why I can't, even though I've told the story 1,000 times, I can't say who I was with because one of our people who no longer lives here, so I could throw him under the bus, but he was the only one that went in the champagne room. And I can't really complete the story without being crude, but I think at least men will understand. He did something you're not supposed to do with a stripper. And we were like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, she loved it. And we were like, but that's not the point. And that's what, dude. Well, don't get near me with your nasty breath. Good God almighty, man. I ain't never heard of that. You ever heard of that, Chris? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and
I ain't never heard of that in my life.
I've heard rumor of this thing kind of.
I ain't never heard of that. But I was like, you a bad man, Kiki Freaky Deaky. I ain't never heard of that in my life. Let's take our final break of the night. It's a Thursday. No baseball. The Dodgers take on the Diamondbacks tomorrow. We're on a roll. We are butter. We are on a roll. 4 straight and a sweep, or I think it's 5 straight. And a sweep of the Cincinnati Reds. They try to battle the New York Mets for that final spot. And we're battling the Phillies for the 2nd seed. Someone in the chat room is claiming the Phillies are winning big. I can't look on my ESPN card because I might bump into Coco Gauff's score, which I'm taping as we speak.
Oh, we are. Oh my God.
What's the score?
15-4.
Are you serious?
Against the Braves.
Against the Braves? Wow.
Braves are having a bad year. Though.
Yeah, they really are. I knew they were never going to bounce back from Acuna going down and that horrendous start they got off to. That's too bad. Well, that's good, actually. It's going to be an interesting playoff season. Final break of the night. Keep it locked. Charlie Kirk at the top of the hour. Tomorrow's Friday. Our good friend and colleague Rick Bentley from KGET joins us. Talk a little entertainment news. And who else do we have booked tomorrow?
The ladies at the Greek Food Festival will be joining us because they have a comedy show coming up.
Annette and her cohort?
Yes.
They join us every year about this time. We'll do all that tomorrow. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
So you feel like you need to know what's going on in the world, but you don't want to be bored to tears?
Well, tune in the Armstrong and Getty Show. We'll keep you informed. We'll try to make you think. We will leave behind the ever-present left-wing media spin. And you know what? We're not angry all the time. Sometimes we have fun.
I'm angry a lot, but not all the time. That's the Armstrong and Getty Show every single weekday.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The Cotton Patch Quilters of Kern County present an afternoon fundraising event under the Sea Auction Saturday.
You want to bust out your promo?
Yeah.
You're good to go.
3, 2. I'm glad to see that the Californian has finally caught up with the Ralph Bailey Show. Thursday, today, they reported that Kathy Miller and her attorneys have filed with the Supreme Court their case for them to hear it. We reported it on Monday. We had Kathy Miller and her attorney on Tuesday. We continue to beat the... 3, 2. So I'm happy to see that Californian finally caught up to the Ralph Bailey Show. We reported exclusively on Monday that Kathy Miller and her law firm were going to file on Tuesday with the Supreme Court their case against the gay couple. California reported it on Thursday. We had it exclusively on Monday, and we had Kathy and her attorney on Tuesday. At heart, despite being a radio talk show host, I am still a journalist. 3, 2. It's that man. What are they talking about? The Greek Orthodox what?
They have a comedy show coming up.
That benefits the Greek Orthodox Church?
I believe so. The paper's right there. Give me a sec. I'll grab it for you.
It's in here? Thank you.
The St. George Orthodox Church.
There you go.
Give me a second.
Ready? 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Friday TRBS. Well, it's a Friday. Our good friend Rick Bentley from KGT will join us to talk entertainment. And we'll have the ladies from St. George Greek Orthodox Church. It's the kickoff of their annual festival fundraiser for Greek Fire. God damn it. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Friday TRBS. Well, it's a Friday. Our good friend Rick Bentley will join us from KGET, and we'll have the ladies from St. George Greek Orthodox Church. It's that time again for their Greek Food Festival fundraiser. We'll talk with them at 5. All that and me at 3. It's TRBS right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3.
Watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just
Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. 842-537-6842 KERN. What do you got?
The parents have no legal obligation to speak to the FBI. The shooter was an adult. Now, if they helped him buy any of those guns, that's a different issue.
Well, you missed what I said. What I said is they owe us. They owe society to talk to the FBI so that we can try to form, as I talked about in the first hour, some kind of subset of characteristics and traits of young men, because this isn't, this kid wasn't an outlier. 18 to 25-year-old men are quitting on life. They are angry. They are confused. This was a kid who at 14, 15 thought he was a girl. His parents enabled him, and that didn't, for whatever reason, set off alarms that perhaps our child is having mental dysphoria and may have mental issues. And you cannot convince me that a son, whether he lives in New York and you live in San Diego, you have a 23-year-old son who is hell-bent on hating everybody. It wasn't like he just hated Jews or blacks. He hated Jews, blacks, Latinos, Donald Trump, Christians. And the only group that he admired, that he talked about in his manifesto, were his now fellow mass murderers. I don't give a damn where your child is living. You have to know if he is living that kind of hatred. You have to know it in the conversations that you have. Like, what are you doing? What are you up to? And again, it's not as if this mental illness started last year. This kid's 23 years old. He's been mentally in a fog since his parents allowed him to change his name from Rob to Robin. So they know something. They saw something. And whether it's a legal obligation or not, the child that you bore preyed on the lowest fruit on the tree, young children in prayer. And so it's your obligation as a parent, because I think it's safe to say these weren't great parents. You know, Chris Rock has an old joke. If you're a father and your daughter's on the pole, you ain't a good daddy. Well, I'm sorry. Excuse me for being judgmental. But if you're a parent and your child grows up to be a mass killer, you have failed. Miserably. Miserably. Your child hasn't grown up to be a criminal. Your child is going to go down in the annals of history as one of the most despicable, evil, hate-mongering human beings that we've seen. And preying on children in a church. And they didn't have a clue. I find that extremely hard to believe. I think it's part of what John Miller was one of the greatest reporters at WABC. And he made his bones by somehow creating a relationship with John Gotti. And if you go back and look at if you ever watch Mobsters, where they have a bio of different mobsters and they use John Gotti obviously as one, or if you go back and look at any video of John Gotti coming in and out of court, then blonde-haired John Miller is walking with him and he asks him very blunt questions. One of the classics is, John, are you the head of the Gambino family? And he said, no, I'm part of the Gotti family. My wife, Julie, is the head of our family. And for whatever reason, Gotti would always go back and forth with John Miller. He was going into court, going out of court. I think he even did an interview in Jersey at the Ravens Club where they hung out. Well, he's now at CNN. And he went on and on last night. He was on all the shows. He was on Abby Phillip. And he said that it is important that we create for the FBI, for the future, to try to stave this thing off, a subset of characteristics of these people. And now with him dead, Yes, we have a lot of writings and the manifesto to go through, and I'm sure Instagram and TikTok, but the parents know something. Family members, friends, and all of those people that had contact with this guy over the years owe this society something. Because none of them said a word. There's no history of any mental intervention for this guy. The parents, regardless of what the legal obligation, owe this society to tell us whatever they knew about their child. It's ridiculous. One more, or how much time we got?
We got enough time. Ralph, have you seen that Mexicali is now selling their classic margaritas in a can that you have to buy food to go if you have a margarita to go, or if you want to have a margarita to go?
I have done that. It actually comes in a jar, and I've actually done that. Yeah, you can take them to go. I began during COVID, and apparently it is still legal to do so. And yeah, they put it in it looks like a little mason jar. It's about yay big. I did know that.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive, but I'm not driving, so I will. Because there are some nights, it depends. Georgie doesn't do it anymore, and I've known Georgie for 30 years. But the other guys, Tino no here, and the other bartender, you'll get about halfway or maybe 3/4 through, and they'll give you some little help. And there's some nights where I'm like, I really didn't want a second margarita, and so I'll just, can I take this to go? I can't even finish it. That's sad. The old Ralph Bailey used to knock off like 3 of those things. It's weird to look back. 3 of them, not even think about it. And yes, I would. I have to concede. Yes, I would. Want to thank our good friend Nick Ragone. We'll talk to him in a couple of days when the Ryder Cup gets underway. Want to thank Mike Turnipseed for contacting us from Sacramento. And, of course, our money man, although I apologize. We talked about everything but money with our good friend Daniel Petrie. Again, tomorrow's a Friday. Rick Bentley will be here. And the ladies from St. George Greek Orthodox Church. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Wrap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Hennepin Healthcare CEO Thomas Clement goes over the condition of patients in their care from yesterday's Catholic school shooting that killed 2 children and wounded 18.
Specifics about folks that we're caring for. We currently have 9 patients that were involved in the shooting yesterday. 6 of those patients are in satisfactory condition. 5 of those patients are children. We have 2 patients in serious condition, 1 adult and 1 child. And we have 1 child in critical condition presently. That's about all the detail we'll be able to give out of respect for patient and family privacy.
The shooter, who killed 2 Catholic school students and wounded more than a dozen youngsters sitting in the pews of a Minneapolis church, once attended the same school and was obsessed with the idea of killing children. Over 700,000 popular pressure washers are being recalled.
Ryobi brand electric pressure washers are sold at retailers like Home Depot. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says in certain models, a capacitor can overheat and burst, causing parts to be forcefully ejected. There have been 41 reports of explosions that resulted in 32 injuries and/or fractures
See you guys
to
tomorrow.
fingers, hands,
Thanks for
face,
listening.
and eyes. Anyone who owns the now recalled pressure washers are being told to stop using them right away. A free repair kit is available, which includes a replacement capacitor. I'm Ed Donahue.
Jim O'Neill, a deputy to Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., will serve as acting director for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The administration wants O'Neill to replace Susan Monarez, who's fighting her removal just a month after starting the job.
Later.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 71 points. The Nasdaq rose 115. More at